All right, everyone. Just make sure that you have access to the slides that I put in the chat. These are the live slides, the live link, the ones that were inside the Google folder is a PDF. So there was only one or two minor changes to some of the text on the slide. So if you have access to this one, this is the most updated one inside the chat. So we are at hands-on with NVDA Day 1, Latoile Education and Growth for All. I am Nicole Latoile. I'm your facilitator, and we have Jacob Wood here, your instructor. So we'll take a moment to introduce ourselves. For those of you who don't know us, just a little bit, and keep it short. And then we'll want to say hello to you all and get a quick update where, we said where you're calling in, which you just did, but also feel free to share something about yourself or what kind of day it's been so far in the chat, and we'll get started. So again, I'm Nicole Latoile. I am the CEO and founder of Latoile Education. I am an accessibility consultant and learning experience designer. And I'm just thrilled to be able to team up with Jacob Wood for this training today. So Jacob, pass it over.
Yeah, and I'm Jacob Wood. I'm the owner and founder of Growth for All. I'm also a learning designer and accessibility evangelist, and I'm super excited that all of you are taking the time out to learn more about how to make your content accessible.
Excellent. So go ahead and if you're just joining us now, say hello in the chat, share where you're zooming in from if you haven't had a chance yet, and a little bit about something about yourself or what kind of day it's been so far. If it's it's noon for me here in Rhode Island, so it's been an okay morning. I went for a run and which was a great way to start the day. So just oh, someone's posted a photo of their cat.
Oh,
Um, yeah, adorable. Monica's cat there. Great. Yeah. So go ahead and say hello. And then I'm moving on to slide 3, and I will overview our agenda and materials for the session. So we have a self-assessment that we'd like you to take today. We'll get to know your screen reader very much. You're going to get to know your screen reader very well today. We'll take a break around 1:30 for planning purposes. And then again, we'll continue on with getting to know your screen reader. And there's materials here for you on slide 3, the Google folder, which was emailed, the NVDA screen reader, which we are hoping that you have downloaded already and installed, and then the accessible demo page. So if you would like to, at this time, open up that accessible demo page, have it ready to go, because that'll be where we'll start for the demo. And I will also put that in the chat for us for a quick reach. Let me grab it, and then we'll move on here a bit. Also, yep, have that ready to go. So uh, we wanted to frame this very quickly for you that day 1 is the getting to know the screen reader, really becoming, I would say, intimate, very close to the screen reader, getting to know all your
mhm.
keyboard, your commands. Day 2 will dive into your content. And once we have built up the skill set of getting more fluid in there. So this is around the accessible demo page today. And then we'll be making connections day 2. So stay tuned for bringing in your own content. Very excited about that. All right. So Zoom features. Wanted to remind us that we have captions available. We have transcript. Also, if you'd like to have a live transcript, we're staying muted until we're speaking. Raise hand for questions on your bottom of your Zoom toolbar. If you're a Teams person, this might feel uncomfortable for you, or if you're a Google Meets person, get more comfortable with your Zoom tool bars here. But you've got your raise hand, typically right on that bottom bar, if that's where it is for you. We'll use that for questions. And also, if you have a question that you're not comfortable asking out loud or stopping and interrupting and raising your hand, send me that message privately so we don't interrupt the screen reader during demonstration, because then we'll all hear the question and it'll be read by Jacob's screen reader. So you can send that to me privately. And then avoid side conversations in the chat beyond what we're doing right now to say hello. While demonstration's happening, we don't want to clutter the noise with the conversations through the chat. And lastly, name with voice. When asking a question, if you say your name, it'll take some time to put the name and the voices together, but that is super helpful if you could remember to do that. Thank you. All right. Jacob, anything you want to say before we take the self-assessment?
Um, no, I think that covers it. I think we
All
can go
right.
ahead and carry on.
Great. So before we begin, we always like to reflect and think about where we are and where we start, and also just to help yourself see, how far you can come in this training. So we're going to take, I don't know how much time it's going to take. There's about 12 questions. I will wait and see in the chat. You'll let me know you're done. So I will pause. I will be quiet. I will mute myself. You'll take the self-assessment in the Google form. And when you're done in the chat, let us know. Okay, we're just going to give it another minute or two. We did this intentionally by not sending it, necessarily asking you to do this ahead of time. One, we wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to do it. And secondly, we wanted to kind of set this stage for you to start thinking about what types of um, content or topics we're going to cover today. I counted about 9 done because I did see Julia used her reaction. So we're just waiting on 2 more people here. No worries. All right, good. While you're finishing up, I will advance us to the next slide on slide 6, and ask you to tally your score. So I meant to do that ahead of time. I meant to say, keep track of your score as you're doing it. So if you could, I gave you the ability to view your results. So you should be able to go in and do that. And if you can't go back in necessarily very quickly, just take stock of which areas did you rate the highest and the lowest, what surprised you, coming in. Like I went to go answer it and I'm like, I thought I could answer these a lot higher at first. I was like, oh, I'm definitely a 4 or 5 in most of these. And some of them I put a 3. So So yeah, and if anybody would like to share, which areas did you rate yourself the highest or the lowest, or what surprised you, or just to start us off, please do.
Hi, if I may share, I really understand the importance of using the screen reader for testing, but I've never used it. So I find your initiative very precious because I know that I have to do that and I want to do that, but I'm new to the screen reader, and so I'm naive to all the question, can you put it on and off? No, I don't know a thing about how to use it actually. So
Well, we're glad
thank
you're
you.
to do this with us. Yes. So there was a question, how do we find our results? So can someone say how they found the results? What did you do to get to the results?
I'm sorry. So Nicole, when that question, do you mean like how we added up our points?
No, I think
Oh,
we're trying to find them. So how did you find them? I don't want to go off my screen.
oh, how did like
Yeah,
what like my opinion of the
yeah,
results?
I'm very
Gotcha. Okay.
literal, Dina, very literal. How did you physically find
I'm
them?
just
Yes.
gonna go on mute. Yeah, so like to your point, I just recently went through the trenches doing a accessibility check on a course that I was doing for a client of ours for my job. So when I was going through these, I was like, okay, I just went through the trenches. I thought for sure that I would have higher numbers too. But on some of them, I was like, oh man, that's something I need help with. That's one of the questions I'll be having. So yeah, very insightful, and I am really excited to like figure out really how to use NVDA. Like I want to be like besties. Right now we're side by side, but I want to be like this.
Awesome. I love it. All right, so thank you. Anyone else want to share? And while you're doing that, we're going to figure out troubleshoot for those of you who close the window. We'll figure out how to get those results for you because once you hit the submit, can you go back? Use your back browser? Can you go to history?
You should
Um,
be able, sorry, this is Sheila. You should be able to just re-access the link and then choose the edit my responses option, and that will bring up your individual responses. If you choose the other option, which is, sorry, I just need to go back. If you choose the see previous responses, it will actually show you everybody who's in the course today who submitted a response. But if you choose edit yours, it will show you what you submitted.
and those are anonymous, by the way. They should be. You should be able to
Yeah.
see the chart. Yes, good.
This is Teresa. It didn't work for me because I'd closed the window. So when I reopened it, it actually just started the assessment over again. But that's fine. I think just to add to everyone else's comments, I scored really low. I constantly tried to go into NVDA and do some testing, and I, grabbed a shortcut sheet. And as somebody who has not required a screen reader, it is a lot of information that you're hearing, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be hearing. So very, very challenging to know if it is correct. And so I have put myself very low on all of these, and really looking forward to seeing your install sample was really great to run through, because I had already made like 2 pages of little notes of, oh, that's really good to know, like the hitting the space bar to stop the speech when I was actually trying to move to a different screen. So that was a really great activity to get us going of how not confident I am.
Well, that's all really great feedback. I appreciate people being so candid. Um, we certainly aim to help increase those scores by the end of the workshop.
Okay, if we're ready, we'll go into our beginning of our demo here. So I'm on slide 7. That's the accessible demo page. You're gonna want that ready to go, loaded. And then I'm gonna stop my share and turn it over to Jacob from here. And as we're going through, you'll notice inside on these slides and then text, it says pause. So what we're intentionally going to do is pause so that you can do the step and then do the next step, and that we're going one by one together in a way, like, but we're going to do this all in the big group. So Jacob, I'm going to stop my share and pass it over. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty, I've stopped sharing.
Let's see, share screen.
Screen sharing meeting controls window.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Collapsed. Meeting chat panel.
Yes.
Alt
Yes.
accessible demo page.
And can you hear my screen reader?
Up arrow.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's get started then. I guess the first couple of things that we need to do is kind of establish some really quick settings to help you get more comfortable with your screen readers. I know that some of you said that you don't really know what it is you're even supposed to be hearing. And sometimes turning on the speech viewer where you can actually see what the screen reader is saying can be really helpful. If you haven't already turned on your screen reader, the default shortcut for NVDA to turn on your screen reader is Control plus Alt plus the N key, N for NVDA, and that should launch NVDA. And if you all do this at once, you're going to hear a whole bunch of text being read aloud to you as it turns on. We'll help turn off a couple of things in a second here to mitigate that a little bit. Once you have NVDA turned on, the thing that we can do to turn on Speech Viewer is to press the NVDA key and the N key, and that will open our Preferences menu. Now, the NVDA key might change depending on your installation and what you chose at startup. So it might be the Insert key if you are in one layout, or the Caps Lock key, I think, if you're in the laptop layout. For me, I've set my NVDA key to be the Caps Lock key because I find it easier to do with my left hand. So I'm going to press NVDA plus N to bring up my Preferences menu.
NVDA menu.
And to find the speech viewer, I'm going to press the down arrow key to go to Tools.
Down arrow. Preferences submenu P. Down arrow. Tools submenu T.
To open a submenu, what you heard is it said that there was a submenu. So I know that I can press the right arrow key to open that.
View log L.
And I need to press the down arrow key again until I find Speech Viewer.
Down arrow. Speech viewer S.
Which is the second option, and I'm going to press the Enter key to open that.
Enter. Accessible demo page dash personal dash Microsoft Edge window. Accessible demo page document. Accessible workshop demo. NVDA plus T. Accessible demo page.
And did Speech Viewer open up there?
Yes, it did.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So with that in mind, if you are using NVDA and you find the extra speech to be distracting, you can press NVDA plus S to toggle between speech modes.
Speech mode on dash demand. Speech mode off.
And I'm now pressing the arrow keys on my keyboard, but I cannot hear anything because I turned speech mode off. But Speech Viewer should be updating to let you know what's actually happening. Now, for me personally, I can't see or hear anything on the screen if I don't have the speech, so I'm going to turn mine back on.
Speech mode beeps. Speech mode talk. Up arrow. Banner landmark. This is the quote header quote landmark.
And now I can hear what's happening on my screen again. Nicole, did we want to walk through how to turn on the caps lock key for our NVDA modifier?
I think we were going to ask that too. So I do want to pause because we're going to have you open the speech viewer. And I wanted to mention that when Jacob silenced the screen reader, but the speech viewer was still on the screen, sometimes folks who say that they have sensory issues and that screen, it's difficult to listen to the screen reader and watch and do multiple things, that if you silence it, everything that the screen reader would say would show up visually in your speech viewer.
Right.
Okay. So it's a transcript. It's a screen reader.
And to everyone colon. I can't seem to silence it alert.
That's from Michelle.
Okay, so to silence it, again, that's the NVDA key, which is either caps lock or insert, depending on your keyboard layout. Hold that and press the S key.
And then we were going to review how to set the NVDA key if you needed that demoed, and I think we wanted to poll the group.
Gardner Institute to everyone: I had to select S 2 times to reach silence alert.
Mm. And incidentally, you can all probably hear what's happening in the chat. That's because Zoom alerts me when somebody
From Michelle
posts
Jackson to
something
everyone:
in the chat.
got it, I think. Alert.
And that's why we'd asked earlier not to have side conversations. What you're doing now is
raised hand alert.
absolutely perfectly fine. I'm just letting you know that's the why behind that request. And I noticed somebody had their hand raised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Sheila. I just have a question about the NVDA key.
Mhm.
If you set the caps lock key, does that mean that the insert key is no longer the
It
key?
actually adds the caps lock key to the insert key, so you have the option to use either one.
Cool.
And then if you needed to use caps lock, you would double press caps lock to actually trigger that to turn on.
And is it the same thing for the insert key that you just can't have numlock running? It's like to have the number
Right.
pad. Okay. So I can see why you'd want both.
Yeah, it's helpful. And for me personally, again, it's just much more comfortable for me to use my caps lock key because I'm a touch typist anyway. Um, Most of the keyboard commands use two hands, and so if I'm using my caps lock with my left hand, I can use my right hand for my other modifiers.
Jacob, we need a quick review. Not everyone's
Yeah.
able to find their preferences to that
Okay.
step. So
Yep.
let's do this one more time. And then also it does appear that it might be beneficial to find out how to turn the caps on and turn it off, like to set the key.
Yeah, for sure. So to open our preferences, we're going to hold the NVDA key and press N for NVDA. And right now that might be your insert key or it might be caps lock, again, depending on how you set it up when you installed the program. So I'm going to press, in my case, caps lock plus N.
NVDA menu.
It's going to open the NVDA menu. I'm going to press down to go to preferences.
Down arrow. Preferences submenu P.
And I'm going to
Settings. S.
press the right arrow to open that submenu and press enter to open my settings.
Enter. NVDA settings: general left paren, normal configuration right paren, dialog, categories: list alt plus C, general 1 of 17.
So that gave me a lot of information, but what it's really telling me here is that I'm in a list of categories, and I can use my arrow keys to navigate through this list of categories. I'm going to press down until I hear keyboard.
Down arrow. Down arrow. Braille 3 of 17. Down arrow. Audio 4 of 17. Down arrow. Vision 5 of 17. Down arrow. Keyboard 6 of 17.
Now that I'm on my keyboard category, I'm going to press the tab key to move into the keyboard settings.
Tab. Keyboard property page. Keyboard layout: combo box desktop collapsed alt plus K.
And I can either set my keys here from desktop to laptop or vice versa. But I'm actually going to press tab again.
Tab. Select NVDA modifier keys: list alt plus S. Caps lock checkbox checked.
And here we have the option to set our modifier keys. And you can press alt plus S to go into this menu and check or uncheck your boxes as you'd like. Right now, mine is already set to caps lock. You can toggle those on or off by pressing the space bar.
Space. Not checked. Space. Checked.
You want to make sure that it says that it's checked if caps lock is what you're looking for. And then I'm just going to continue to tab through the settings until I get to the OK button.
Tab. Speak typed characters: combo box always collapsed alt plus C. Tab. Speak typed words: combo box only in edit controls collapsed alt plus tab. Speech interrupt for typed characters checkbox checked alt plus tab. Speech interrupt for enter key checkbox checked alt tab. Allow skim reading and say all checkbox not checked alt tab. Beep if typing lowercase letters tab. Speak command keys checkbox checked alt tab. Play sound for spelling errors tab. Handle keys from other application tab. Multiple key press time tab. OK button.
And there's my OK button. I'm going to press the enter key.
Enter. Accessible demo page dash personal dash Microsoft Edge window. Accessible demo page document. This is the quote header quote landmark.
So I'm going to pause there. Does anybody else need me to go back over any of that?
Jacob, can we go a little slower? Can you do
Sure.
that? Can you show people show us how you would make that go slower? Okay.
Yeah. You want the speech to be a little bit slower?
If you could, and then I think this
Sure.
would be good for demoing as well.
Okay. So to slow down the speech, I'm going to hold Control and NVDA which is my caps lock, and press the down arrow.
NVDA plus control plus down arrow. NVDA plus control plus down arrow.
And you know, I might need to turn off my speech
NVDA
and
plus
command
4.
keys for just 1 second. I didn't turn it off.
Input help on.
Oops.
Left shift, left control,
Now I'm
left
getting my
control,
fingers
right
all.
control, NVDA plus.
Okay, that was me screwing up. I'm going to press this one
Speak
more
command
time.
keys on. NVDA plus.
I want those off for a moment.
Rate 10. Rate 15. Rate 20.
Is that a little bit better, we think?
Main navigation landmark heading level 2.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go back to turning my command keys
Speak
on.
command keys on.
What speak command keys on does is it lets you hear when I'm pressing my keys, so you can hear what my
Teresa Mine
shortcut keys
Vanderpost
are.
raised hand alert.
Yes, Teresa?
Yeah, so Teresa, I used it was cap locks, control and arrow down. And I
Mhm.
can see it on my speech viewer, but every time it's just saying rate 45, rate 45, rate 45. So it's not, my number is not dropping
Not
like,
changing.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's okay for now. I just wanted to alert just in case there was something.
Okay.
But I did use cap locks, control and
Mhm.
arrow down. And if I
Yeah.
press it, each time I press it, it's still just saying rate 45 on my speech viewer.
Interesting. I'm not entirely sure why that might be,
Okay.
but you can change that with a slider in the preferences menu, and I'll go back into preferences here, and we'll touch on that just briefly. So I'm going to press NVDA plus N to open the menu.
NVDA menu.
I'm going to press down to go to preferences.
Down arrow. Preferences sub menu P.
I'm going to press right to go to settings.
Settings. S.
And enter to open the settings menu.
Enter. NVDA settings : general left paren, normal configuration right paren, dialog, categories : list alt plus C, general 1 of 17.
And then we can move up and down this list.
Down arrow.
For some reason, it's not reading that first.
Down arrow. Braille 3 of 17. Up arrow. Speech 2 of 17.
So the second one is speech. If you go to speech and tab into this, it will give you the option to change the speech rate in one of those settings. Might take us a little while to get there, but that might solve your problem too if you want to kind of go in there on your own time and change that. For now, I am going to just continue on down to the keyboard.
Jacob, I'm about to drop something very long in the chat that just says a little bit more with what you're covering, like NVDA. And I just took the preference directions
Mhm.
from the website. So I'm just going to drop it in, okay?
Okay.
From Nicole Letwall.
And I'll just silence that for myself so you don't all have to listen to it.
Down
Jacob,
arrow. Audio 4 of 7.
Again,
Yep.
I just wanted to let you know that I followed your steps and I dropped the rate, and in the speaker viewer, like using the slider, and the speaker
Mhm.
viewer actually showed me dropping 30, 31, 29, 28. So it did work within the slider and showed on
Okay.
the viewer.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Down arrow. Vision 5 of 7. Down arrow. Keyboard 6 of 17.
Okay, so number 6 of 17 is the keyboard settings. I'm going to press tab to go into my keyboard settings.
Tab. Keyboard property page. Keyboard layout : combo box desktop collapsed alt plus K.
Now, if you want to change between desktop and laptop settings, this really is saying my keyboard does or does not have a 10 keypad. You can hold Alt and press the down arrow to open the drop-down menu.
Alt plus down arrow. Expanded. Keyboard layout : list, laptop. Down arrow. Up arrow, desktop.
And since my keyboard does have a 10 key, I have mine set to desktop.
NVDA settings : keyboard left paren, normal configuration right paren, dialog, keyboard property page. Select NVDA modifier keys list alt plus S, caps lock checkbox checked.
So I pressed the tab key and it gave us all of that information, basically to let me know that I was no longer in that drop-down menu. And I'm now in this region where it allows me to change my modifier key. It told me that the caps lock key is currently selected. But again, if it is not and I want it to be, I can press the space bar to toggle that checkbox on or off.
Space, not checked. Space, checked.
And from there, I would just tab down to the OK button. And are we all following that now? Or do I need to go back over any of this again?
Don't be shy. Ask. We want you
Yeah.
to have it set up.
Can we just say our name, Teresa, and I'm fine. It worked perfectly.
Great.
Sheila, I'm fine, but I'm really interested in your highlight when you're
Mhm.
moving through the system.
And to everyone,
That gives the cue as well of where people are at.
Yeah.
Is that in the vision section?
It is. So I'm going to press Shift Tab. Shift is a modifier key that sends you backward. So I'm going to go
Shift
up.
plus tab, keyboard layout colon, combo box desktop collapsed Alt plus K. Up arrow. Up arrow.
Oh,
Shift plus tab, categories colon, list Alt.
Here we go. Back in the categories list.
Up arrow, vision 5 of 17.
I'm on vision now.
Tab, vision property page configure visual aids. Visual highlight grouping. Enable highlighting checkbox half checked Alt plus E.
So I tapped into the vision settings, and the very first one was to enable visual highlighting. You heard that it said half checkbox checked because I don't have all of the sub properties of this checked. I've turned off a couple of them. I'll tab through these and let you hear a couple of the different options that we have.
Tab, highlight system focus checkbox not checked Alt plus C.
So I turned off the system focus because Nicole and I were demoing this a little bit earlier, and we found that this has there are different types of focus indicators that NVDA has. One of them can show you kind of where the system would be if you did not have NVDA turned on, and that's what this is. And then when I had these other things turned on, we found that it was highlighting two different areas of the screen at the same time. So I decided to turn that one off.
Tab, highlight navigator object checkbox checked Alt plus O.
And then we have highlight navigator object turned on. That's a fancy way of saying highlight the thing that NVDA is looking at.
Tab, highlight browse mode cursor checkbox checked Alt plus M.
And I have highlight browse mode cursor turned on. Browse mode is a separate setting in NVDA, which is what I'm on now, and we'll talk more about that in depth here in a little bit. And I want to have that checked as well so you can all see and hear what it is that I'm actually doing when I'm in browse mode. And again, you can turn any of these on or off using the space bar to toggle the setting.
Thank you. Sheila, again, when you were on the audio screen and you were doing the tabbing, I think on one of the options it had listed like caps lock key or something. What am I correct in thinking that it was actually reading out your key combinations to access that part of the system when it was doing that?
Let me kind of go back there. I'm not entirely sure. I believe yes, but let's go check that out real quick here.
Shift plus tab, highlight navigator object check Shift plus tab, highlights Shift plus tab, enable Shift plus tab, categories colon, list Alt plus C. Down arrow, keyboard 6 of 17. Tab, keyboard property page, keyboard layout colon, combo box desktop collapsed Alt plus K. Tab, select NVDA modifier keys list Alt plus S, caps lock checkbox checked.
So is that what you were asking about?
Yeah, so when it says like list Alt plus S, is that it's telling you which keyboard shortcuts to be using?
That's right. You can have NVDA tell you more context about a button. I think that's in the speech settings. And basically, it will tell you the command keys when it knows them, so that you know what buttons you can press in order to activate a certain thing. So this told me that I can hold Alt and press S to enter this particular menu.
Alt plus S, play sound for spelling errors while typing checkbox checked Alt plus S.
And that puts me into this menu that it gave me. These are contextual, so they are specifically related to whatever object you're highlighting at the time.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So for this
Sweet.
section, I was just gonna do a quick preview. The things that we were covering were turning on speech viewer,
Mhm.
setting your NVDA key, control browser F6, control home, and silencing screen reader. I'll put those in the chat and then ask us if we feel confident or anything we should review or didn't get to.
Okay.
From Nicole Letwall to
And I'm going to just hit the escape key to close out of my settings now.
escape accessible demo page dash personal dash my
All right.
So of all the things that we went over here, or Jacob demoed, those were the key areas that were covered. So of these, which ones are confident, which ones do we want to review? And I believe, Jacob, you did cover all of them initially.
Okay.
Teresa, I just wondering, the control home to center yourself. What does
Mhm.
that mean again?
Yeah, so that's what we will cover next here, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You're absolutely fine.
Okay.
So once we have NVDA set up in a way that allows us to really use it comfortably, um, it's time to start looking at our content and learning how to use it. Uh, so I currently have my browser open. I'm using Microsoft Edge, um, and I'm open to the NVDA demo site that we built. There are a couple of commands that we can use instead of clicking on a mouse to get us into the browser window. So if you are, let's say you're in the address bar and you just typed in the address and you pressed enter and it loaded your web page. There are times where you might not be focused on the browser window itself. To kind of demonstrate that, I'm just going to enter
F6 accessible demo page dash Microsoft Edge dash personal region tab bar navigation landmark accessible demo page tab selected jacobwood.me 1 of 1.
So I am on the browser toolbar at the moment. And if I were to tab around, I wouldn't be able to interact with the page. Um, Now, using a screen reader, I don't have the ability to see anything that's on this page that isn't immediately being spoken aloud to me from NVDA. So I can't just use my mouse to click on something and start scrolling. But just like if you are um, clicking on something with your mouse, the scroll wheel will do something different depending on where your system is focused. So if I had a menu opened in Edge and I use my scroll wheel, it might scroll through the list of available options in that menu. It would not necessarily scroll the page. So the keyboard is kind of the same way. We want this keyboard focus to be set to the browser page before we can start interacting with it. The easiest way to do that is to hold the control key and press F6, and that is the keyboard shortcut to focus the active browser window on the active tab. So I'm going to press Control plus F6 now.
Control plus F6 accessible demo page document heading level 2 main navigation.
And you heard that it said heading level 2 main navigation. That's not necessarily where I want to be. I want to center myself. I want to start at the top left corner of the page so I know where I'm at. Because contextually, I could be anywhere on the page right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the Control and Home keys, and that will tell NVDA to set my focus, actually that tells Windows, to set your focus to the top left corner of the active browser.
Control plus home banner landmark accessible workshop demo.
And now I know that I'm at the very top left corner of the page, and I have an idea of where I am. Now I'm not just
From
sitting
Michelle
somewhere in the
Jackson to
middle of the
everyone colon
page.
what is the home key alert?
Um, Depends on your keyboard layout, Michelle. So usually there is a list of 6 keys that say things like home, page up, page down,
From Michelle
delete.
Jackson to everyone colon just found it alert.
Ah, okay, perfect. Um, so holding control and pressing home again is the way to set your focus to the top left corner of the page, and that really helps you get a better understanding of where you're starting from.
Teresa,
After that, Yep.
Jacob, when you say top left corner, my control home, it put me to the front of the address bar. Is that what you mean by at the top of the home? Like I'm right in front of the
No.
HTTP when I hit control home. I'm using Chrome.
So, okay. Can you hit Control and F6?
I can. Yeah. Okay, I'm not there now.
That should set you into the browser itself,
Okay.
like the browser page, and now try Control Home.
Okay. My highlight, would it be highlighted somewhere? I don't see the highlight.
It might, if you have that turned on.
Down
I
arrow.
did
This
turn
is the
it on
quote.
when you showed me. Okay, I'll keep going with it. It's okay. I'm not on the HTTP part anymore, so I'm thinking
Okay.
it may have worked. I just am
Yeah.
not seeing, I turned on the enable highlight,
Mhm.
but I'm not seeing anything highlighted on my screen. So I
Okay.
will, I'll just keep following along. I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one other really just quick tip, if you hit the tab key, it will focus on the first selectable element on the page.
Tab. Main navigation landmark list with 5 items structure same page link.
And if structure is the first thing that highlights, you'll know that you were kind of up and to the left of it in the reading order. And I'm going to hit Control Home again to go back to the top.
Control plus home. Out of list banner landmark accessible workshop demo.
Now,
Allison
from
Nowak left paren. She slash her right paren.
Yep,
Raised
go
hand.
ahead.
I have a very condensed keyboard. I don't have
Mm,
any of the F6 keys or a home key. Do you think I have other keyboards that I could plug in?
It might be easier if you do, because likely what you have is something that requires you to press function keys in order to access some of
Probably.
these commands. That might even be more condensed than the typical laptop layout that NVDA has. And I'm sorry, from there, like my ability to help you is really dependent on knowing that keyboard layout and the functions. And so if you have a different keyboard that you can use, it might be helpful for this demo.
Okay, I'll go grab it. Thanks.
Sure. Every keyboard is slightly different, and so it can be a little bit tricky sometimes to find uh, exactly the keys that you're looking for. So absolutely feel free to pipe up if you need a little bit more time or if I'm moving too fast, because I know that sometimes we have to hunt for these things.
And I can also maybe do some troubleshooting on the side. So if you want to message me
Free
these,
Riley to everyone colon. Control F6 does not work on C-Chrome alert.
try like
Control F6 does not work on Chrome. Okay.
Fn plus 6 equals F6. So Fn, the function key, plus your 6 is your F6. Fn plus 7. So, but Allison, if you have one,
Yeah.
you can connect it, probably like Jacob said, but otherwise I can also troubleshoot and try to find you all your quick.
Hand F6. Accessible demo.
Sheila?
From LKB to everyone colon. I am having a different experience. Both F6 and home are working for me in Chrome alert.
Interesting.
Sheila here again.
Michelle
I had a
Jackson to
question about tabs on a browser because I had
Mhm.
opened a tab to kind of try testing how to do something, and I can't
Mhm.
figure out how to get back to my original tab without using a mouse.
Yeah, so
like
Control plus the tab key.
Control plus tab.
I don't actually have any other tabs open right now, but that should work to cycle between active tabs on Chrome or Edge.
yes, it does. Thank you so much.
And to go backwards, Control plus Shift plus Tab should also do the trick.
Control plus.
And if F6 isn't working for you, like Nicole said, you might need to hold a function key on your keyboard. I think half the battle is just knowing how your specific keyboard functions. I had accidentally the other day turned off my function keys and I had no idea how I did it, and I only lucked out that I managed to turn them back on before the demo. So it's a wild experience sometimes.
From Nicole Letwall to everyone colon. On some compact keyboards, you may need Fn plus left arrow left paren. That's often the home key right paren. Alert.
Thank you, Nicole. And if Control plus F6 doesn't work, then just pressing F6 by itself to cycle until your browser window is highlighted might also do the trick for you. Because the F6 key is what actually cycles you between different regions on your browser. And I believe that works on Edge or Chrome or Firefox. It's pretty universal throughout Windows. Somebody else have their hand raised?
Yes, Teresa.
Mhm.
So I got it to work and it was user in the seat error for my highlighting. I hit
Okay.
have to hit apply because when I went back into my preference settings, even though I had selected them, they weren't there. So I think I had to
Oh,
hit
interesting.
first before the OK button. And
Okay.
Sheila's question about the tabs, the browser was really helpful. But I also had, I was on a different screen, like I was a different app for a second, and I didn't know how do I get back where I was, where
Yeah.
you was.
So the other key that can help toggle between active windows is
Yes,
Alt plus Tab,
Alt
and
plus
that will open a viewer that lets you toggle between any active window. And then when your browser window is open, Control plus Tab switches between active tabs.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Yes.
Emily
This,
had her hands up, I think, and someone else. Emily. Yes.
yeah, this is Emily. I'm wondering if we can restart what we just did. I'm sorry to be that person, but I was
Oh, you're
behind
fine.
on the first part, so it would be
Oh,
helpful
sure.
because I don't know where we're at now.
Sure. Do you have your browser opened to the accessible demo page that Nicole posted into the chat?
Yes.
Okay. So from there, pressing Control plus F6 should automatically, depending on your keyboard and your browser, um, set your keyboard focus to the browser window. So Control plus
Control
F6.
plus F6.
And then what we do once the browser is focused is we press Control plus Home to set the keyboard focus up to the top left corner of the active browser window.
Control plus Home. Accessible workshop demo.
Let's pause there. Is everyone following?
This is Emily. How do I know that it did do what I'm like pressing the keys to do?
Yeah, I guess we should have probably just had everybody turn on their focus indicator. Let's go back into NVDA preferences. That's NVDA plus N.
NVDA menu. Down arrow. Preferences submenu P.
Down arrow to go to preferences.
Settings. S.
Right arrow to open that menu and go to settings. And then press enter to open the settings.
Let's stop here and make sure that
Mhm.
so is everyone in preferences settings that need to be there? Okay.
Okay.
Enter NVDA settings : general left paren, normal configuration right paren, dialog, categories : list alt plus C, general 1 of 17.
So it opened our settings menu again. We're going to press the down arrow until we get to the vision category.
Down arrow. Down arrow. Braille 3 of 17. Down arrow. Audio 4 of 17. Down arrow. Vision 5 of 17.
So it's number 5 in the list. I'm going to press the tab key to move into this setting.
Tab. Vision property page configure visual aids. Visual highlight grouping. Enable highlighting checkbox half checked alt plus E.
And we want to enable visual highlighting. You can enable that by pressing the space bar if it's not already checked. Once you have it checked, and you don't necessarily need to have it set up exactly like I do, but if you'd like to, I'm going to press tab again.
Tab. Highlight system focus checkbox not checked alt plus C.
I have my system focus turned off.
Tab. Highlight navigator object checkbox checked alt plus O.
My navigator object is turned on.
Tab. Highlight browse mode cursor checkbox checked alt plus M.
And my browse mode cursor is turned on.
Tab. Screen curtain grouping. Make screen black left paren. Immediate.
Do not turn on the screen curtain unless you're very comfortable, because it will turn off your screen. Everything will go black.
Tab. Always show a warning when loading screen curtain checkbox checked Alt plus S. Tab. Play sound when toggling screen curtain checkbox checked Alt plus P. Tab. OK button.
And then I believe it was Teresa who said the tip would be to go down to the apply button.
Tab. Cancel button. Tab. Apply button Alt plus A.
So you can press Alt plus A to apply your settings, or you can come down here and press Enter on the apply button. And once you've applied your settings, you can hold Shift plus Tab to go backward.
Shift plus Tab. Cancel button. Shift plus Tab. OK button.
To go to the OK button. And we'll press Enter when we're comfortable with our settings.
Emily, did you keep your speech on or did you end up silencing it?
I silenced it.
Okay, so when we do the F6 or the control home, when you're asking what it, so you weren't going to hear anything, but did you not see a focus indicator or something highlight the page, like the browser page, the accessible demo at the top of the page? Like, did it not take you to the top left corner?
I don't think so. I didn't have the setting we just set up on until now.
Okay. And if you have speech viewer turned on, it should also say something like accessible demo page. It would read the page title, and that would be shown in the speech viewer.
I'm seeing this is the header landmark.
Okay. That, yeah, because it reads a whole bunch of stuff at once, so that probably is something that you would hear. And the header landmark is the top of the page. We'll talk about landmarks here in a minute. Are we all good with where we're at now for me to go ahead and hit OK on my settings, or does anybody else, before I continue, need more help with the settings? It sounds like we're probably good then, so I'm going to go ahead and press OK.
And accessible demo page dash personal dash Microsoft Edge window. Accessible demo page document. Accessible workshop demo.
And we're back on the accessible demo workshop page.
Yeah, and we're about almost, 3 minutes to our, at the hour. We're going to break soon at 30 minutes, but we do have, if we're good with what we just covered, some of the other key points you wanted to talk about was the difference between keyboard user and screen reader,
Yep.
Basic navigation, arrow and tab, difference between browse and focus, things like that.
Yeah. So let's have a brief discussion, because this has already kind of come up a little bit, about the differences between a keyboard-only user and a screen reader user. And that will naturally have us kind of talk about what browse and focus
LKB
mode
raised
are as
hand
well.
alert.
Oh, Elkie?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, did I miss the silence screen reader shortcut? I know that's one I'm very excited to learn about,
Okay.
because sometimes it's nice to turn it off, but if I
Gotcha.
missed it, that's fine, but I just want to make sure. Thank you.
You haven't missed it yet, but just a quick tip: if your screen reader is talking too much, you can press the control key to silence it.
And did everyone get how to silence the speech view? Not the speech viewer, but to, right, that was
Silence the
silence and
speech altogether.
pause. Did everyone follow if you just want your speech viewer on, but not the sound of the screen reader? Just check.
Teresa, I think it was Control plus S.
Close. It was NVDA plus
Oh,
S.
and okay, cap locks plus S. Okay.
Yep.
I have it working, so I must have done it then.
I think that's a good check, right? Repetition, recall, repetition, recall, repetition.
Absolutely.
I just
Okay,
want to
so
say how awesome everyone's doing, by the way. We're so tuned in. This is great. Good job.
Yeah, I love it. I
So
know it's
I'm sorry,
not.
when you say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So when you say NVDA is cap lock, right?
Yes, if you followed the directions earlier to turn on the caps lock key, then
Mhm.
NVDA should be your caps lock key.
Okay, yeah, for me, since I'm not mother tongue, with the screen reader talking, you talking, then it's sometimes difficult to
Mhm.
follow. So yeah, I'm gonna see the recording for sure, but sometimes it's also because I don't know if my Italian keyboard is different. I don't know about languages, but I,
Oh,
I'm
sure.
trying.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely. I might just say caps lock. It's easier, honestly, than saying NVDA. Um, if you have not set your keyboard to caps lock, it's the same as insert for this discussion. Either one should work if you have it set. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between a keyboard-only user and a screen reader user, and when those might apply. So you might have heard people tell you before, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't, that you need to always check um, your focus order when you're building a course, say in Rise or Storyline or using an LMS. You want to make sure that the on-screen focus matches the reading order when people read left to right, top to bottom.
From Michelle
Um,
Jackson to everyone: insert plus Q also works to silence alert.
Thank you, Michelle. Um, so when your focus order is set correctly, then pressing the Tab key will navigate you through every focusable element on the page. And what do I mean by that? That's your links, your buttons, your form fields, anything that the keyboard can interact with, basically. Now, I'm going to briefly just demonstrate what happens when I only press the Tab key.
Tab. Main navigation landmark list with 5 items structure same page link.
So I went to a link that says structure,
Tab. Navigation same page link.
navigation,
Tab. Forms same page link.
forms,
Tab. Widgets same page link.
widgets,
Tab. Inaccessible version visited link.
a link to the inaccessible version of this page, which is a fun thing to play around with when you get a chance. And watch what happens when I press the Tab key again.
Tab. Main landmark navigation elements region list with 3 items external link to W3C's Web Accessibility Initiative link.
The next thing that I heard was another link to another website, but I missed all of that content in between. That's because a keyboard-only user is typically reading a website with their from a sighted perspective. So they're reading it with their eyes, but they're navigating using the keyboard. A screen reader user is a little bit different because I can't see what's on the page. I have a separate a tool, in this case NVDA, which allows me to interact with the website in a more robust manner. It really kind of interprets what's on the screen as opposed to reading specifically what's on the screen. You might have heard that this said that the link opens in a new tab. That's not necessarily something that a sighted user would see, but it's something that the screen reader knows and interprets and tells me for additional context. You also heard when I was up in that navigation menu that some of them said same page links, because that tells me that those links go to another section on the current page. They don't take me off site. And again, that's information that the screen reader tells me that a sighted user wouldn't necessarily hear. That's because the screen reader is interpreting what code is being sent from the website to my software. So a screen reader allows me to not just move between these focusable items like the links, but it lets me read the actual text on the page as well. And I'm going to jump back up to the top left of the screen by pressing Control plus Home, and we'll demonstrate what that sounds like.
Control plus Home. Out of list out of region banner landmark accessible workshop demo.
Now you heard a lot of things there. It said out of list because I had been inside of a list. Out of region because I had been inside of region or a landmark. And then it put me to, I don't even remember. There's a whole bunch of stuff that it kind of spouted out all at once to tell me where it is that I'm landed on the page. With a screen reader, I can actually interact with the text itself by using my arrow keys. So instead of using tab, I'm going to press the down arrow and the up and down, left and right arrows to really move through this information on the page. So I'm going to start by pressing down.
Down arrow. This is the quote header quote landmark.
Put me into a header landmark.
Down arrow. Main navigation landmark heading level 2 main navigation.
Now I'm in a navigation landmark. A landmark is a region of the screen that the code has told the screen reader is distinct. That means a certain area on the page that the screen reader can interact with. It's more of a verbal cue, but also you'll be able later, once we get to that part, to use a command to jump between the different landmarks quickly. They're a navigation element. That's as much for getting around quickly as it is for information. I'm going to continue to press the down arrow key.
Down arrow. List with 5 items same page link structure.
It told me that I went inside of a list with 5 items. That tells me how big this list is. If I know that I want to get just beyond this list because it's all navigation items that I've already heard, I know that I can press my down arrow 4 or 5 times to just move past this stuff quickly. And I'm going to do that here.
Down arrow. Same down arrow. Same down arrow. Same down arrow. Visited link down arrow. Out of list. This is the quote NAV quote landmark.
Now I need to press it 5 times because I was in a list with 5 items. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
Your focus order has been sitting around the core page
Oh,
structure headings. The speech viewer is what I've been keeping track of
yeah.
as you've been doing that, and then making connections to that you were at the top of the page and then you went through the menu. But
Mhm.
just a heads up that the focus order of the visual has not moved with the demo.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
this is a tricky part about displaying um, running any sort of screen reader demo. The system focus and the screen reader focus don't always match, and getting them to sync back up can be a bit of a challenge. And I'm sorry, there's not a simple way for me to make sure that it always only follows
No,
the browse mode cursor.
I think it was an important learning moment too, because if
Yeah.
you are doing your own screen reading testing and you're looking for your focus order and you're not able to locate it, one of the tools and the techniques would be to have the speech viewer up so that you could be
Mm-hmm.
following along. But
Mm-hmm.
then if you want to troubleshoot this, maybe this will be a good opportunity if we're trying to get that right.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Teresa. I just want to say thanks
Mhm.
for sharing because I was going to ask that question just as you, I was like, the red box hasn't moved for a while. So I'm
Yeah.
glad I was understanding that it was a
Riley
glitch.
to everyone colon. I have this often. I see my course focus order but the screen reader does not work as well. Alert.
Yeah, it can be a little bit tricky sometimes for things to sync up because there's some technical things going on in the background between what's happening with NVDA and what's happening with Windows, and the two aren't necessarily always synced up. And that's not necessarily a bug, but it is something that makes it hard to follow along when you're doing this from a sighted perspective. I do wonder if I press the Enter key,
Enter.
did that change my focus from whatever it was on before?
It did not.
It did not. Okay.
I would
Control
wonder if
plus right.
you tried to go to a heading, if that would help.
Yeah, let's try that.
Main landmark accessible page elements region accessible page elements heading level 1.
No, it's staying. It's staying with, well, actually it's on heading. So I'm not sure. It didn't move though.
Hmm.
Tab. Navigation elements region list with 3 items external link to W3C's web.
So that put me on the link. Did that change the focus?
It didn't. But your speech viewer, if we're comfortable with that, I was gonna say, we can keep going
Okay.
in that way and then talk through, because you were gonna talk like you're talking about the difference between the arrow and the tab, which is
Hmm.
great. And then you were gonna do browse and focus mode. That might
Okay.
need your focus order. Um,
That, yeah, that might.
okay. Because what we could do here is the pause where we ask you to practice um a little bit more, opening your speech viewer, closing your speech viewer, silencing. We really wanted you to get those keys down too. So I'll turn it to you, Jacob. What would you want to do here It's up to you.
Let's really quickly try to talk about the differences between browse mode and focus mode. And let's see if we can get NVDA to sync back up, because focus mode intrinsically sets the focus to what we're on. So let's do that. We'll talk briefly about browse mode. If we get too lost, let me know, and we'll try a couple of other things here.
Teresa,
Right
here,
now,
wondering, would it help? I don't know if everybody else does this. I would try maybe like going to a different browser, or change the app and then come back and see if it refreshes this tab. I'm not sure if
sure.
that's an option.
Yeah, that's we can do that. It's just
Alt plus tab. Screen sharing meeting controls. Row 1. Screen sharing meeting controls window.
so I just opened my Zoom meeting controls,
Tab. Mute my audio left correct.
and we'll do Alt plus
Alt
tab to go
accessible demo.
back.
Accessible demo page dash personal dash Microsoft Edge window. Accessible demo page doc.
And
Accessible page elements region. Accessible page elements heading level 1.
I just set my focus to the heading level 1 on the page. Did that change anything at all?
No, we just lost the
No.
box altogether. So so go ahead
Awesome.
with your I think maybe you were gonna go to focus mode or browse mode. And then we were playing around with your settings, so we could have done something when we were doing that. So
I am having problems getting from one window to another by only using the keyboard. Alert.
So from one window to the other is holding the Alt key and pressing the Tab key.
Alt plus tab. Screen sharing meeting controls. Row 1 column 2 2 of 3.
Now what I'm doing is I'm holding the Alt key so this window stays focused.
Alt plus tab. NVDA speech viewer column 3 3 of 3.
And this is how you switch between active windows, is Alt plus Tab.
Accessible demo page dash personal dash Microsoft Edge column 1 1 of 3.
And when I let go of Alt,
Accessible demo page dash personal dash Microsoft Edge window. Accessible demo page document. Heading level 1 accessible page elements.
it will put me back on the window that I chose.
It's Teresa. I think your screen viewer might just be covering it because when you came back here, I saw the little small yellow box where in front of the title accessible page elements. I'm not sure if you're able to
Okay.
the speech viewer to the right hand side of the screen or something.
I wish I could. I have tried to move speech viewer in the past with the keyboard, and for some reason it doesn't work. And I'm
If
sorry, I can't see it.
Yeah, if you tab a couple more times, I'm just wondering if you get past that title that's hiding behind your speech viewer, if we might
Yeah,
see it.
let's try
Shift
it.
plus tab. Main navigation landmark list with 5 items inaccessible version visited link.
Did that set the focus to this link?
yes.
It's on an inaccessible version now, yeah.
Okay. And then what happens if I do
Down arrow. Out of list. This is the quote NAV quote landmark.
that? Does the focus set to the paragraph that it just read?
No.
So
No.
there's and I'm seeing this on mine as well. This is Elkie, sorry. So there's like
Oh.
the pink focus, but then there's also a little yellow focus that
Mhm.
moves around as well. What is the difference between those two, or is there a difference between the two?
There is. So the pink one should be the browse mode focus. And browse mode is when you're just reading through a website. It's the way that a screen reader allows you to actually read text on the page. So when I press my down arrow key,
Down arrow. Main landmark region heading level 1 accessible page elements.
it just read the accessible page elements.
Down arrow. This is the quote main quote landmark. It contains the primary content of the page. Use this page to practice.
And then it started reading text. When you are in browse mode, it's literally allowing you to browse around the page. Then there's the focus mode, which only allows you to interact with elements on the page that are focusable, similar to what we talked about with the keyboard-only users earlier. And I can enter that focus mode by pressing caps lock plus the spacebar.
NVDA plus space.
And if you heard that little noise, that signaled to me that I entered focus mode. When I'm in focus mode, my up and down arrow keys will not read the next paragraph.
Down arrow. Up arrow.
Because they're not set to an element right now that is focusable. if I was in a text box where I was typing and maybe it had multiple lines, this is where the up and down arrows would allow me to move in that box around those lines. But in focus mode, it doesn't let you do that if you're not. This is why a keyboard
arrow.
only user cannot read the text on the page with a screen reader because they don't have the browse mode. Does that make sense? And then the focus, there's a different focus indicator. I think that's the yellow box for what's in focus mode. And we can actually test that. I'm going to go back into browse mode for just a second. I'm going to press, again, caps lock plus spacebar.
NVDA plus space.
And it talked over it, but it also made a little beeping noise that tells me that I'm back in browse mode. And I'm just going to come down quickly and look for the first box that I can edit.
Interactive form controls region personal information grouping name left paren, edit field right paren, edit required.
Now, I did that by pressing the E key on my keyboard. You don't necessarily have to remember that right this minute. I'm really just trying to test something here. If I switch back into focus mode.
Enter. Suggestion available. Main landmark. Escape. NVDA.
Did the yellow box go around this edit box?
You have the red box is with
The
you.
red box is around it. Okay. Well, at least that's moving. The yellow box might also just be the Windows system focus or the navigator object. That's there are a lot of different things happening behind the scenes, and this is always like the most difficult part of doing any sort of screen reader demonstration is getting it to follow along. So I do apologize. It's a little bit tricky sometimes. While we're here, though, we can continue to look at the browse versus focus mode. If I'm in focus mode, which I know I'm in because I heard that kind of clicking noise, I can press the tab key to move between focusable elements.
Tab. Favorite course left paren, combo box right paren, combo box instructional design 101 collapsed.
Now, because I am in focus mode, using the arrow keys on this drop-down box, also called a combo box, allows me to interact with the box itself.
Down arrow. Advanced accessibility. Down arrow. Gamification in learning. Down arrow. Up arrow. Advanced accessibility. Up arrow. Instructional design 101.
But you'll notice that pressing the arrow keys doesn't let me out of this box by itself.
Up arrow.
I need to exit focus mode to go back into browse mode to move around the page itself again. I can do that by pressing, again, caps lock plus spacebar.
NVDA plus space.
And now that I'm in browse mode again, using the arrow keys allows me to move along.
Down arrow. Use C to navigate to combo boxes. To interact, switch to focus mode, then use Alt plus down arrow to. Down arrow, open, and arrow keys to select. Teresa Line Vanderpost raised hand alert.
Yes, Teresa?
So would you recommend, as somebody who can see and as we're trying to test, should we always be in browse mode so that we make sure we are moving between all of those paragraphs and then all of those focused pieces? Or do you recommend that we actually do need to shift between the two modes when we're testing?
There will be times where you'll need to switch between both modes because you want to make sure that when you have a drop-down menu or selectable buttons, that you can interact with those as well using just the keyboard. Now, depending on what software you're building your courses with, it may not necessarily be as big of an issue, but there are times where developers will create what looks like a drop-down menu or what looks like a checkbox, but isn't actually. They use different tricks to code those. And so you can only know whether they work or not by switching into focus mode and interacting with them. I think Rise makes it difficult for you to do that yourself, but Storyline gives you a little bit more control over that. So if you're using Storyline and you're building custom widgets, there might be times where it's very necessary to switch into focus mode. So learning the differences between the two and how to toggle between them is actually really important for anybody who's testing with NVDA.
I will say in storyline, if you when you hear the ding, that bell sound kind of that happens often, and it will focus the whole frame. So if you're noticing that and then you feel stuck, I hear this a lot. I can't go forward. I don't know specifically what storyline. It's because you've switched modes and you haven't known that you switched modes when testing.
Yeah.
Typically, that's
Okay, that's great to know because I use a lot of storyline within Rise, and I sometimes when I've tried NVDA without any training, I've struggled going from a Rise block and then getting into the storyline block to activate it and then back out. So I'm hoping that that might be something you'll be able to share over the next these sessions.
Yeah, for sure. I think on day 2, if you have a course where you've built something like that you've been struggling with, you can show up with that in mind, and maybe we can talk more about those types of situations.
Great, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I did talk about how caps lock plus spacebar will toggle between the modes automatically. But you can sometimes also enter one of those modes. Uh, did I say automatically? I meant manually. You can enter those automatically if you are, let's say I am,
Interactive form controls heading level 2.
let's say I'm on this menu here or this heading that says interactive form controls, and I press the tab key.
Name left paren, edit field right paren, edit
So I only pressed tab, and you might have heard it here with that little ding noise. It entered focus mode automatically because it focused on an element that I can interact with. So from here, if I want to get out of that focus mode, I can use caps lock plus spacebar to turn it off, or I can actually press the escape key,
escape,
and that will also turn off focus mode and put me back in browse mode so I can start moving again. If at any point you feel stuck in a control because your arrow keys aren't working, hit escape or caps lock plus spacebar and listen for that ding sound that tells you that you're back in browse mode.
Will you repeat that one more time just so it
Absolutely.
it sinks in for everyone? Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So if you feel stuck in a control,
NVDA plus,
let's say I'm in this text box and I've typed
AF,
some things, and now I can't use my up or down arrow keys anymore.
up arrow, spelling error ASF, down arrow, ASF,
I'm stuck in the box. If I press the escape key,
escape, escape, up arrow, ASF,
oh, it didn't work this time because I've actually already started typing. So I can press caps lock plus spacebar,
NVDA plus space,
and we heard that little ding. That means that we're back in browse mode, and now my arrow keys should work again.
down arrow, use the E key to jump to edit fields like this one. Your screen.
We're gonna have you practice that when we
Mhm.
come back from our break. So that to me was really helpful, Jacob. So I don't know if anybody has
Oh, good.
questions about that because that's typical in Rise and storylines. You hear that often and you get stuck. So I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
we're good there. That was good. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, definitely keep an ear out for those dings and beeps because they're telling you a lot of information.
Teresa, can I just ask one more question? Sorry.
Of course.
I am a question asker. I'm so sorry. Now that you've made a typo in that name field, you heard it say ASF, then just like you would just use your arrow keys to go back to make your corrections and it would say the letters again that you're fixing?
That's right. So if I go back into focus mode,
NVDA plus space, up arrow, ASF,
it says ASF.
home, A,
So I press the home key to move back to the beginning of the field. And let's say I want to change, I can't think,
right arrow,
this,
S, right arrow, F,
maybe I meant to type an H here. I used my arrow keys to move that caret forward to where it says F. Then I can press delete to remove
delete, out of spelling error blank,
it. And I can press H.
H,
And now my name is Ash. When I'm done here,
Escape. H.
escape doesn't change it, so I press caps lock plus spacebar,
NVDA plus space.
and now I'm back in browse mode.
Down arrow. Field is quote required quote.
Told me that the field is required. It's giving me some additional information here.
Perfect, thank you.
So that was a bit of a tangent based on NVDA not showing you the focus indicator where I wanted it to, but hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea about the differences between keyboard-only users and screen reader users, and when to use browse mode versus focus mode. Was there something else, Nicole, on that specific section that we needed to cover?
No, it was you got the difference between the two, keyboard and screen reader, basic navigation, the difference between using arrow and tab key. One thing that comes up and when I work with instructional designers often is that the arrow key alone will read single item lines, but if you want to continuously read a paragraph, someone asked me once, how come it's reading sentence or line by line when I use arrow? Do you want to talk about the difference, why that might happen if you notice it when you're testing? And then
Yeah.
otherwise, we've covered everything, and then we have in 5 minutes, we take the 30-minute break.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So the default is to read one line at a time. You might have noticed. Let's see, I'm going to go back to this box real quick here.
Up arrow.
And then I'm going to press the down arrow key. This is going to read the next line.
Down arrow. Field is quote required quote. Down arrow. Favorite course left paren. Combo box right paren.
I'm not in a great place to demo reading paragraphs at a time. I'm going to press Shift plus 3 to jump back to the last third level heading.
Navigation elements region tables heading level 3. Links
No,
heading
it's
level
not.
3.
Let's look at the link section. This should give us an idea of what the paragraphs are like. So if I press the down arrow key.
Down arrow. Links allow you to navigate to other pages or other parts of the current page. Press K to move to.
You'll hear that it cut off in the middle of a sentence, and that's because I'm reading one line at a time. That's when you press the down arrow key. If you want it to read the whole paragraph at once, you hold Control plus down arrow.
Control plus down arrow. List with 3 items bullet. This is a standard link, external link to W3C's Web Accessibility Initiative.
And then it reads the entire next paragraph instead of the next line. The same is true if you want to read the previous paragraph. You would hold Control and press the up arrow.
Control plus up arrow. Out of list links allow you to navigate to other pages or other parts of the current page. Press K to move to the next link, or Shift plus K for the previous one. Press U for the next unvisited link and V for the next visited one.
So we got a lot more information that time than we did when we read one line at a time. The other command that you can use, and this one is really great when you just want to skim the whole page and get an idea of what everything says. If you hold caps lock plus down arrow, that turns on continuous reading. And this is just going to read everything on the page from where the cursor starts all the way down until you either hit the bottom of the page or you press the Control key to silence it. So I'll demo that now. It's caps lock plus down arrow.
NVDA plus down arrow. Links allow you to navigate to other pages or other parts of the current page. Press K to move to the next link, or Shift plus K for the previous one. Press U for the next unvisited link and V for the next visited one. List with 3 items bullet. This is a standard link, external link to W3C's Web Accessibility Initiative. Bullet. This is a link you have likely not visited. Link Dick Systems blog. Bullet. You've already been here. This is a same page link visited link to the top of this page. Out of list. Heading level 3 tables.
So you notice that I didn't have to do anything to read through that list of bullets because I was in continuous reading mode. But as soon as I pressed my Control key, it stopped and it allowed me to take control again.
One other couple of things that we were hoping to get to, and we're perfectly fine to pivot because we want questions, was the single key navigation. You
Yeah.
did start and stop reading. You already did press enter to activate links and buttons. I think you did. Did you cover that? Yes.
I don't
Oh, did
think so. We talked briefly about it when we were doing our preferences, but basically to activate a link or a button, you press the enter key while you're focused on it. So if I were to go go to the previous link.
List with 3 items visited link to the top of this page, same page link.
And I press the enter key on this link, it will activate that link.
Enter. Out of list, out of region, region heading level 1 accessible page elements.
And take me up to the place on the page where it said it was going to go. The same is true for buttons. So if you need to activate a button, you press the enter key. If you need to activate a checkbox or a radio button, that's the space bar. So we have some of those.
Interactive form controls region, your learning preferences grouping. I prefer video content. Radio button not checked.
So we have what are called radio buttons. That's the list of little dotted buttons. These you will use the space bar to check.
Down arrow. Radio button not checked. I prefer text dash based content. Checked.
And now I selected that one. If I were to use the enter key on these, that will also work.
Down arrow. Radio button not checked. I prefer interactive exercises. Enter. Checked. Checked.
But sometimes if the web page isn't properly coded, that can actually activate a submit button or something like that on the page and end up taking you somewhere that you don't want to go. So my recommendation typically is to press the space bar to activate one of those types of buttons instead of the enter key.
Teresa Line Vanderpost raised hand alert.
Yes, Teresa?
So if something like in Storyline or Rise and you have like a 3 or 4 questions within there, as somebody who uses a screen reader, do you just hit your arrow down until you realize you've come to all the options? Because you may not know if there's 3 options, 4 options, or 5 options for that particular question. So how should we think about it to keep that in mind for yourself?
So let me go back actually to the heading that these links were grouped with. I'm going to hold Shift and press H. That takes me to the previous heading.
Interactive form controls heading level 2.
And now I'm going to come back down and read through till I hit the list of radio buttons.
Control plus down arrow. Forms are a critical part of the web. Control plus down arrow. Fields marked with an asterisk left paren, right paren, are required.
So this tells me that the asterisks are required.
Control plus down arrow. Grouping personal information.
Now you might have heard it say grouping.
Control plus down arrow. Name left paren, edit field right paren, edit required. Control plus down arrow. Use the E key to jump to edit fields like this one. Your screen reader will announce.
I'm kind of going fast here because what I want to do is get to those radio buttons again.
Control plus down arrow. Favorite course left paren, combo box right. Control plus down arrow. Use C to navigate to combo. Control plus down arrow. Out of grouping, grouping your learning preferences. Control plus down arrow. Use the R key to cycle through radio button groups in browse mode. To select an option, switch to focus mode and use your arrow keys. Control plus down arrow. Radio button not checked. I prefer video content.
So I'm on the radio buttons now. And if I'm in browse mode, this is one of those kind of funky things between NVDA, browse mode and focus mode. I can actually move through these with the browse mode on, which is what I'm doing now.
Control plus down arrow. Radio button not checked. I prefer text dash based content.
And you are correct that if I am just reading through these on a page, I would not necessarily know how many there are. And I would actually just keep going down until I hit the next heading or next question and know that I am done with that list. But if I'm in focus mode,
NVDA plus space. I prefer text dash based content. Radio button not checked 2 of 3.
now you hear that it says 2 of 3. And with radio buttons, I can use my arrow keys.
Up arrow. I prefer video content. Radio button checked 1 of 3.
Just like they were a list of items.
Up arrow. I prefer interactive exercises. Radio button checked 3 of 3.
And you might have noticed that I pressed the up arrow, but it cycled down to the 3rd item in the list. So this list isn't bounded. It's not, once you reach the top or the bottom, if you continue around, it will just circle around on itself.
Down arrow. I prefer video content. Radio button checked 1 of 3.
And now I can move between this list of buttons and know that I'm only going to be selecting from this list of options. Now, it's really important to test your buttons with a screen reader because there are so many instances where these are not coded properly and not grouped together. And so each radio button might be its own group, even though it's technically part of a list. and the arrow keys won't toggle between them. I run into it all the time. And so I don't know how Rise and Storyline handle them specifically. I think if you're building a block and you're just using the add buttons to add another option to your list, it should group them correctly for you. But if you're creating custom widgets and you're doing this, you'll want to make sure that they're coded as a set. And that allows them to be grouped together and allows me to enter focus mode and navigate them this way so that I don't move on to a different set of questions when I'm not intending to.
Teresa, okay, thank you. So essentially arrow down, space bar to select, and when you arrow down, you've selected, you could arrow down again till you get to the submit button if it was like a storyline, and then you'd hit enter.
Yeah, so when I'm in focus mode, the arrow
In
keys
focus
will
mode,
only move between the buttons.
You're
I
right.
would actually need to press tab or switch back into browse mode to get to the submit button.
Okay.
And that's actually a feature and another reason why you need to learn how to use the screen reader, because you don't necessarily stumble across that easily if you don't know what you're doing with it. You might think that you're stuck in this radio button list. If I continue to just press the down arrow, it's going to circle through that list repeatedly until I break out of it. And I do that again by pressing tab or by switching back to focus mode.
Tab. Topics of interest left paren. Checkboxes right paren. Grouping. WCAG standards checkbox not checked.
In this case, because the submit button was part of this bigger form and not like a Rise course where every single question has its own submit button, it took me to the next question set, which now are checkboxes.
Down arrow.
But checkboxes don't work the same way as radio buttons. If I press the down arrow, it will not cycle me through them. I actually need to tab between them. And again, that's a feature, it's not a bug. It's designed that way because checkboxes are built a little bit differently. You can choose more than one checkbox where you cannot choose more than one radio button.
All right, we're ready for our 30-minute break here. So it is now, I was going to say 1:36 my time. So everyone just add 30 minutes to whatever your current local time is. I'm really bad at trying to do math when it's not an exact 1:30. So 2:04. Did I get that right for us? 2:04, 1:36, 2:04. Okay, so add 30 minutes. Before you leave, I'm going to just let you know where we're going. When we return, we're going to have you practice with these commands on the demo sites. We will put you in breakout rooms in pairs and have you work together. But we want you to get the hands-on and get the commands going. So you'll use that practice site. And I have one question for you. What shortcut key will turn your NVDA speech viewer on and off? Can you put that in the chat for us? What shortcut key will turn the speech viewer on and off? And then we'll break.
From Teresa Line Vanderpost to everyone : caps lock plus S alert.
So that's turning the speech viewer on and off. Not, I guess, not the silencing. You're not
So
silencing, opening and
Brony
closing
to
that
everyone : I will
box.
respond on the break alert.
this one's a little bit less straightforward. I'm curious to hear if people can.
From Michelle Jackson to everyone : caps plus N tools dash speech viewer alert.
There we go.
That's it. Caps lock or insert N to open and close the speech viewer box. Okay. All right, we're breaking. See you back here
All
in
right, we'll see
30
you all
minutes
soon.
from now. Bye.
Alt mute. Allison Nowak left.
Okay.
I just realized that I kept the recording going and I am the worst editor. I
Oh,
can trim
whoops.
on the front and I can trim on the back in
Oh,
my
me
YouTube
too.
editor, but I am not good at slicing. So sorry, I'll have to get some help or we're just going to have a
Yeah.
really long 30-minute. People will have to
Whoops. Yeah, I'm bad at that
I
too.
host. We still have about, I don't know, 4 more minutes of our break here. So we'll just give him time.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, we have your content ready for tomorrow, loaded and
Yes.
ready for the demo. So thank you so much for that.
Good.
Absolutely.
Okay. Looking forward to it. Just the things we've touched on already get me to good. I really hadn't realized there was a browse on a focus mode. So knowing that's
Mm,
a big plus, and then how we can move from one to the other. So definitely want to learn that.
yeah. Another great tip, especially if you're doing a game, is that uh, focus mode is often used to control interactive elements.
Okay.
So like, I don't remember exactly. I know I briefly previewed the Battleship game.
Mm,
But if there are elements that you would like pick up and move around, that's typically done using focus mode because otherwise any commands that you're using are going into the browse mode, which goes straight through NVDA. So focus mode helps you focus on the elements within the browser, like game controls and that sort of thing.
okay.
So really great way to test your designs, especially with games, is to be in whichever mode makes the most sense, but oftentimes you might find that you'll be entering focus mode. So just, I guess, keep an ear out for that kind of dinging noise.
Okay. Yeah, it was interesting. I'd borrowed the basics for that game from another developer, and she used some graphics that uh, didn't really serve any purpose. They were just a graphic. And
Mm-hmm.
um, when I first opened the program, it said there were like 3,000 problems with it. And well, as soon as I eliminated all those little pieces, they dropped down to just a few hundred.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really did. And it was not functional. I mean, even if you had sight and everything else, they weren't functional.
Hmm.
So let's just get rid of the things that we definitely don't need.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a good lesson in that. Um,
I don't know if anybody hears that squeaking noise. It's my dog. So I'm sorry.
oh,
She
Didn't
just
hear it.
went.
You can
Oh, okay, good. Zoom's doing a good job of blocking it out. I just took her OUT and now she wants to play. So
Don't say the word. Don't say it.
no, she knows it for sure.
It's funny.
well, looking at the key commands, the reference that you had here, it talks about Control F6, and during the demonstration, I was having a problem trying to get to the active screen, and I was none of the keystrokes I was using actually worked. Control F6 didn't. I used Chrome,
Okay.
Hmm.
and it wasn't get well. The issue was more from window to window than it was tab to tab.
Got
That
it.
was the issue. I wasn't getting from one window to the active window.
Okay, that's good feedback. I need to remember that um, we need to actually talk about probably how to get to the active window
Mhm.
before we
Yeah,
can highlight the browser. And that's
right.
where that Alt tab comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny you say that. I knew that to do that from years ago. I didn't do it. That's funny. In the beginning of Windows, that was the only way you could get around was
Yeah,
Alt Tab. They didn't
yeah.
have a lot of this convenient things that we have today. Um, when I think what my first computer was like in 1985. It's been a change.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
I put the slides back. All right, we're ready to get going here again. And I put the slides back in. That was I guess a request if you left in the back, they may have disappeared from the chat. So please let me know if they're not there. If I did it a little too soon before you arrived, I can put them back in again. Um, this is great. There is something that I want to note. I wanted to surface that it's uncomfortable. This is hard to get
Mhm.
used to. And when you're learning something that makes you uncomfortable first, I just want to applaud everybody for asking questions and being here and putting in that work.
Yeah.
That there's some don't have a choice to they can't give up. And so it's almost as if like you're here, don't give up. I just want to say that. Not that you would give up, but that I know at times like I'm doing it and I'm like, I'm just stuck and I don't want to keep trying. Um I guess I just want you to keep trying. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Let me let Elke back in. Any thoughts, questions, things that you'd like to surface before we dive into a demo, now that you're returning from your break? Anything you'd like to reflect on from earlier?
I have several thoughts, and first is that it's this session is difficult if you're not mother tongue, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just I expected that, but so I have multiple languages, the screen reader, and that's it, and yeah, so I may have to take an extra effort to study all this stuff, and second is now that I see the effort that I need to, to master, to check carefully, I may want to design stuff simpler because
Mm.
then I have, in storyline, you can do whatever you want
Yeah.
to, but then you have to be able to check it because if you don't, then it's a problem, right? So I was thinking, I'm an instructional designer, so if I design simpler, maybe I can test better. So if I design stuff that are very complicated, then I need to be able to check. And if I'm not, maybe it's not good. It's better to design maybe a little bit simpler. I don't know, maybe just a random thought. And then
Mhm.
the final stuff for me is maybe you really need people very qualified to do that. I'm very happy that I'm trying, but I don't know if I will be mastering that at all because you need to keep doing that. It's not something that you learn and then
Mhm.
yeah, in 3 months you remember, right? I was just that.
I really love that reflection. And there are two things that comes to mind when you say that. In designing simpler, I think for any instructional designer, we should be asking, is this design facilitating learning? And I think a lot of you know where I'm going with this. Is it facilitating learning, or is it just something that I want to do because it seems really fun and creative? All designers love to be creative. That's why we do this stuff. But having a simple design that facilitates learning is really what our learners are expecting of us. And I do think that it's helpful to keep that in mind when we're building our courses. And then second, um, if you know the basics of this and can catch even 70% of the issues, you can design those out of your content before you pass it over to an expert to do a review. And that's always going to help improve the amount of time that it takes them to audit your course. And it's also going to reduce the amount of errors that slip through if you don't have a specialized auditor who can take over, because some companies don't. So yes to all of that. I think that's really great reflection.
Thank you. Allison here. Um, similar experience where I'm having that like true novice experience where I think I overestimated my skills on the initial survey. And now that I'm here, I'm feeling a little bit of the tidal wave of, oh, I really know so little, and this is going to take a lot of time for me to practice and probably a lot of alone time, working with these documents and working with NVDA when there's not also information coming from a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. I also appreciate that it's hard to learn in some cases like this because you do have a lot going on with listening to a demonstration, having the chats going, trying to listen to it while you do it yourself. I think that's why we'd like to go into breakout rooms for a little bit so you have a little bit more focused time to test it out because it certainly can be difficult to listen and learn and perform all at the same time, especially when you have input coming from so many different angles all at once.
Mhm.
This is Elke. I would
Mhm.
just continue to echo. I'm now at a new place from the last time I got to see you, Jacob. So I'm getting
Yeah.
to share accessibility expertise and advice and information in a new space. And one of the things, we just held a symposium, and so many people sent a back channel message to me on Slack, like, we need the people coming to present for us some of these things. So I saw so many
Mm.
bad slide decks that I couldn't even read, and it's so
Yeah.
interesting to think about how I'm here trying to learn this and think about this specific thing, but it's just one of a planet of considerations in all the positions that we do. So I'm so
Mhm.
thankful to be here, as everyone else said, realizing how much I still need to learn. And
Yeah.
I have a student doing education masters, and they're like, well, I think I want a screen reader to read my texts to me. And I showed them NVDA, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could learn that, So it's also like, it's interesting because it's a tool, and it might not,
Mhm.
people hear what screen reader is and they're like, oh, it does this specific thing. And so I really enjoy the nuances here that you guys are showing us, browse and
Good.
focus and the advantages of each and the functions and stuff. So thank you so much. It's so valuable. But as everyone else says, like, I have so much more to learn.
Yeah.
Michelle?
This is Jeff Riley. I have been working in this direction for some time now, and I've discovered that paying attention to a course that works for screen readers as well as everyone else is forcing me to be a better designer and better
Mhm.
developer that I hadn't anticipated that before. And your discussion about uh, the number of times that you have a rectangle one, rectangle two, and so on. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I went back over, I've always known to do that. And I went back over some of my older work and I went, oh my gosh, I haven't been doing what I thought I was doing.
Mm.
So it's been like I said, we all have a lot farther to go than we thought.
Yeah.
Michelle?
So I can't get the F6 or the home to work on mine. Who knows what?
Mm.
I can't get the headers to work on it. I'm not
Mm.
sure. But I went back into my preferences, actually checked the systems one, rechecked that instead of unchecking it. And now I can at least tab and arrow up and
Hmm.
down to things, but I still can't get my header and other stuff to work, which is very interesting because
Hmm.
in the past I've gotten it to work without a problem. Um, so I'm kind of chuckling at myself because in the past I've played around with NVDA.
Mhm.
Haven't played with it, I'll be honest, in about a year. And like I said at the beginning, I probably had all twos for the bulk of those questions. I did have a five on the last one, but which Jacob will understand. But um, the I think my twos just went down to a one because I
Oh
am
no.
literally I can't. I'm trying to follow along, but I'm so hung up and just trying to get the stupid thing to work so I can actually do what you're telling me to do, that I'm just like, I'm not hearing half of what you're saying now because
Mm.
I'm
Mhm.
still stuck back in the learner got stuck back in the I can't get to where you're at. And this is funny for, I mean, coming from me, as an IDD, and Jacob does work for me. In fact, he is my at my company. I have hired him to do
Mhm.
and check for accessibility for all the work that we do. Um, so he knows I'm a huge advocate, huge
Yeah.
proponent of this. But I'm laughing right now because I'm like, oh my God, I can't even get this to work any longer. And now I've become the learner, which got stuck way back at A because I can't get it to work right on my computer. And so now I'm not following along. And I'm
Mm.
just trying to copy and take notes and write as fast as I can here. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe in these breakouts I can figure it out. But
Yeah.
yeah, my frustration level's gone up a little bit with
Well,
this. So I
well,
don't
that's a
know.
metaphor for life, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I can't, and
Um,
if my frustration level is up, I can't imagine, so it's really making me tune in to, honestly, Jacob, when I hear you like, yep, okay, they need to do this, this, and this to make it accessible. Um, in my team where we thought we were making things as accessible, but we're having to step back and and relearn sometimes
yeah.
in how we're doing it. And Jacob's doing a fantastic job at guiding the team in that. Um, and and now I'm like, uh-oh, okay. I'm back at beginner level again.
Well, let's make sure that that doesn't become an ongoing issue. If we need to set some time, or if I need to join your breakout room for a little bit to make sure that we get things focused for you, we should be able to take a bit of time to do that. Because I don't want you feeling like you're left behind the whole workshop long. That's not a great way to get caught up.
Figure it out. I'll get it there by the time we have by Wednesday.
All right. Well, we can go into breakouts, and I thought your suggestion made sense, Jacob. I was going to say, does Michelle want to stay
Yeah,
here real quick and get troubleshooting? Do you want to go
yeah,
there? And we can do either one of those, but it sounds like go to the breakout rooms, see what happens, and you could always, join as and check in. So I'll
yeah.
put 20 minutes. That I think, I want to make sure both people have the opportunity to try. And so if that feels too short, then certainly we're going to try it again. We don't want to just make this a one hands-on. So your feedback is important to let us know as well. So does everybody have the practiced shortcut key document with the accessible demo available? And that is in the chat. And then when you do, I will open up the breakout rooms.
I will say before we go into breakouts, you are learning, and if you really get stuck on something and the other person in your group can't answer that question for you, and you just need to use the mouse to click on your browser window to get your focus set to it, there's no shame in that while you're learning. You don't have to learn the Alt plus tab and the Control plus tab and the Control F6 all at once. It's a lot to keep in your head. So don't hesitate to use the tools that you have to just establish a baseline before you start testing, because I'd rather you test some of the commands that you read on this demo site than to spend your entire time uh, struggling to even get to that step, if that makes sense.
Teresa, thanks, Jacob, for saying that, because I think, for all of us, this is a real reality check of how challenging this is. And that when I have tried to test before, I just go use my mouse and go, okay, well, I didn't quite get there, I'll just move it. And many people don't have that luxury to be able to do that. So it's just such a yeah, just a wake up for us of what we need to do better,
Yeah.
and it's a progress. Because it is overwhelming of all the different keys that you need to know to be able to interact, and you do it so seamlessly. And yeah, it's like starting as Jeffrey said in the chat, it's like starting all as a beginner again and trying to navigate.
Yeah,
So thank you again.
sure.
Okay, as you're going through the demo, write your questions down, because when we come back, we want to address all the ones that need to be covered and reviewed again. And all right, we'll see you back here in a little bit. I was in a breakout room with Teresa and Emily, and so I know how that feels. So like we were like on to something. We were having a pivotal moment. We were trying to figure something out, and then we got sent back to the main room. So we have questions, lots of questions. So let's open up the floor and start with our first question for Jacob.
I have a question.
sorry.
Was anybody else able to get the document to like work around it in the document? Were you able to use H's, L's?
This is Elke. I was, but Jeffrey was not. He was. That was the one question we have is like, what happens if the single key navigation isn't working for you?
Okay.
Because I found the same thing. Nothing worked for me. And Jacob and I were just getting to the point of trying to figure out, was I in browse mode or was I in all modes or what mode? Like, because it wouldn't work. But I could take it out to a Word doc that I had open that I kind of put some H1s and H2s and H3s in there and move it around in a Word doc, but I couldn't get it to work in the Google Docs. I even opened and put, of course, Jacob had to help me find the accessibility and then make that active, but I still couldn't make it work in the Google Doc. So,
Yeah. So there are, I think, a couple of things going on. Google Docs is like its own beast. So if what we're talking about, Michelle, with trying to access the keyboard navigation guide that we built, I think all of you are going to find that that is very difficult to navigate with a screen reader because you actually have to turn on accessibility mode, and then Google Docs has its own list of hotkeys, and you can't use browse mode properly. Now that I'm thinking about it, and in the context of everything else, the the Google Doc that was provided is probably not the best way for any of you to learn how to use a screen reader. It's the website that the demo website that you should have better luck using because it's just a basic HTML web page.
Oh, were people using the Google Doc, not the accessible page? Sorry, was that not clear?
We use the accessible page.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Now, thing number two then is single letter navigation, and I forgot to go over this earlier, that only works in browse mode. So if you press H and nothing happens, you might try pressing caps lock plus spacebar to toggle between the two modes.
And I did that.
Okay.
We also
It
And
had
didn't seem
that
to work any,
experience too.
and I
Emily
did
had
hear the
something like
click
that.
for one and the beep for the other. So I knew that was happening, but it didn't happen on the screen with the single letters.
Yeah, and we also experienced something similar where seemed to be between browse and focus. We went to the form and could type in the box, and Emily was in there typing, and then would press Control Space, and it was actually just acting as space. It would check the checkbox, or the control almost didn't. It was almost as if the NVDA key or the caps lock key, sorry, not control, the NVDA caps lock key was not doing the thing it was supposed to be doing. So I wondered if it was about our original settings with something to do with our caps locks and how we're set those up, that why we're having some struggles.
Yeah, and just to be absolutely clear if I wasn't before, you do need to hold the NVDA key when you press the space bar. It's not one and then the other, it's one and the other together. And then what else could be the issue there? I think there's a setting somewhere deep in the NVDA settings that allows you to turn off single key navigation, but I think it's on by default, so I wouldn't expect any of you to have that issue if you hadn't gone tinkering with it. So I'm curious, how many people were able to use the navigation on the accessible demo site?
Teresa
We
here.
were
I
able-
just tested now because we hadn't gotten there because we were checking with the browse focus mode, but I'm
Mhm.
able to use all the keys, F, G, K, H. I got to all the things that it said on this sheet. I just tried it.
Okay.
And I'm in Chrome, if that helps.
Okay.
Ouch.
Sheila here. I'm in Chrome and using a laptop as well. It took us a while to figure out when we were in browse versus focus mode as we were going
Yeah.
through. Because obviously if you're in focus mode, things weren't working the way as we were expecting.
Right.
But once we kind of figured out how to get into the right modes, then it did start working. So.
Okay.
This is Elke, and this is how I know whether I'm in focus or browse mode is I hear a beep for browse and a click
Right.
for focus, right? So that B for browse is how I'm able to be like, oh, I'm in browse mode. Otherwise,
Right.
it's hard for me.
Yeah.
So we could probably use a little more practice, but also it's not fun to practice when we don't have our settings if something isn't quite working. So what
Right.
do you recommend for the practice part here, for that part?
Let's. So, Jeffrey, I think you had said that you were in browse mode, but not able to use the navigation keys. Was that correct?
Yes, correct. Although
Are
I
your
just
arrow
I just
keys
switched to
working?
the
Oh,
document and it worked.
oh, okay.
So
I wonder if part of it was also maybe not being focused on the browser, like on the site, but on some other portion of the browser, like the toolbars or something.
it could be because right now in the practice document it's working perfectly.
Okay. Um,
It's technology. What can you say?
well, yeah. Nothing ever works the way you expect it to, especially if you're in a live setting trying to demo it for a dozen other people.
Yeah.
It sounds like most of us were able to get it to work. I know Michelle was still having some struggles with it, and part of that we narrowed down it could potentially be the keyboard, because keyboards with function keys sometimes, like an FN key, sometimes they do weird things with your function row.
That's what we ran into with me. The control 6 wasn't working, but function key 6 works perfectly.
Okay.
So part of the remaining demo, we had tables we were going to talk about, descriptive links. So the link piece and why, it's important to name them well. And also you were going to touch upon accordions and tabs because those are used often, and video player and how to set those up with headings so that it's easy to navigate. So do you want to continue with demo a little more and then we can practice again? It's up to you, but that's what was remaining.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And if any of us are still struggling after we kind of check in a few minutes, we'll stop and see if we can answer some more questions. I'm also available later to help troubleshoot if anybody needs some specific one-on-one guidance, because I know that this can be difficult depending on your setup sometimes. So
I'm
why don't
sorry,
I?
I have a
Mhm.
sorry. Sometimes I start to speak and then I hear the voice. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Is there a time for other, general question? Just not specific, but general about the rationale of how to use the tool. Maybe I can keep my question for the end. I don't want to break this session now.
sure. And Nicole, I believe we did leave some time at the end for questions, right?
We did. We
How are
still
we doing
have
on
over an
time?
hour. We're doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got more than an hour here. So
Okay. Yeah, we should have some time for some question and answer toward the end.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You bring up Zoom again. And I am just setting up my screen sharing again. Okay, can we all hear and see my screen again?
We can see, but the
Okay, I'm gonna
sound is
slow it
not
down.
on.
Yeah. Oh,
We
the sound is not on?
no. Mm-mm.
Okay.
One of the fun things about Zoom, which we noticed, is that whenever we share a screen, visually cited, you see share sound with a checkbox. Jacob gets the entire screen tip. To share your screen with viewers, it's like a full-on paragraph, which is something that we should let Zoom, or you're gonna let Zoom know about, because it's
Yeah.
like
Start screen share. Press F6 to switch between Zoom Windows alert. Screen sharing meeting controls window. All plus accessible demo page dash personal dash Microsoft window. Accessible demo page.
No, I know it's
Participants can now see
fast,
the arrow.
but
Caption out of table header.
can we all see and hear it now?
I think I don't know, where'd you land?
It's like 3 columns caption screen reader shortcut categories.
I can hear it talking super duper fast. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
slow that down. I just needed to make sure it was working first.
NVDA plus control. NVDA plus control plus up arrow.
How's that?
Good.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
So let's go back to the accessible demo site. I am just somewhere on the page, and since I don't know exactly where I'm at, I'm going to hit Control plus Home to jump back up to the top of the page.
Control plus home. Out of caption, out of table, out of region, banner, landmark, accessible workshop demo.
And you heard that it said I exited a bunch of different types of controls and regions and set the focus back to where I know that I'm at. Now I'm going to use my single key navigation, which some of us were able to practice, and I'm sorry for those of you who have not been able to get that to work yet, but we'll get there. I'm going to use my K key to jump between these navigation links.
Main navigation landmark list with 5 items structure visited same page link. Navigation same page link. Forms same page link. Widgets same page link.
Let's look at
Forms same page link. Navigation same page link.
navigation. So what I did there is I pressed the K key to start looking through the menus. And when I realized I went past the one that I wanted, which was navigation, I held Shift and pressed the K key again to go backward. That Shift key is a modifier that basically says, do the thing that I want, but in reverse. Go back up the document instead of down. I'm going to press Enter on my navigation link here.
Enter. Out of list main landmark region heading level 2 navigation elements.
And it took me down to the heading that was associated with navigation. From here, I know that I want to read kind of quickly because I'm looking for things like tables and some other functions. So I'm going to hold my control key as I press down arrow, and I'm actually just skimming my content right now to look for the next thing that I wanted to talk about. So control, down arrow.
Control plus down arrow. Heading level 3 links.
So these are links. And I know that we've already kind of discussed links, so I'm actually going to switch gears and press the H key to jump to the next heading.
Tables heading level 3.
And now we have tables, which is what I was looking for.
Jacob, didn't want to interrupt, but I noticed the focus order is the entire page. Your page
still
is
doing that.
highlighted. Yeah, just a heads up. It's
Yeah,
okay. But I didn't know if other people were
okay,
looking at that going, where's the focus order? We're
sure.
following your speech viewer, and you're doing a fantastic job.
Okay. So table didn't get a box around it then, is that right?
Correct.
I'll never understand how NVDA decides what to highlight. So I apologize. As long as you can hear and kind of follow that way, let me know if you're losing track and we'll pivot. So let's read this paragraph about tables. It's going to tell us how to navigate a table.
Control plus down arrow. Tables are for presenting data in a grid. Use the T key to navigate to the next table. Once inside, use Control plus Alt plus arrow keys to move between cells. Your screen reader will announce the column and row headers for context.
So a properly structured table has headings, and in most software, there's a checkbox that says my table has headings. You'll want to keep those boxes checked. I know PowerPoint has this. I'm not sure about Rise and Storyline. But that tells the screen reader.
Control plus down arrow. Table with 4 rows and 3 columns. Caption screen reader shortcut categories.
What this top row actually means is this is a heading row.
Control plus down arrow. Out of caption row 1 column 1 category.
So we have the category heading.
Down arrow. Column 2 primary key.
The primary key category, and you might have heard that it said column 2.
Down arrow. Column 3 example use.
Example use in column 3.
Down arrow. Row 2 category column 1 headings.
And if you notice, this now said I'm on row 2, and it reiterated that the category heading was headings.
Down arrow. Primary key column 2H.
This is telling me again that I'm in the primary key heading. I'm in row 2, column 2, and I have the H key. This is telling us what letters we have to use for single key navigation. With tables, you only want to use these when you're actually laying out data in a way that needs to kind of be tabularized. So we wouldn't use tables for layout. We don't want to use it to just position things on the page. We want to use them when there's a lot of data like this that needs to be summarized in a easy to read chart.
Down arrow. Example use column 3 skim page structure.
You'll notice it said column 3. It reiterated the heading. When I just press my down arrow key in the table, it's going to take me top to bottom, or left to right, top to bottom, one cell at a time. But if you read the paragraph above this table, it gave us some additional keys, Control plus Alt plus the arrow keys, that tell us how we can move around in this table if we don't just want to go one cell to the next. So I can hold Control plus Alt and press my left arrow key.
Alt plus Control plus left arrow. Primary key column 2H.
To go backward.
Alt plus Control plus left arrow. Category column 1 headings.
And now I'm on the column 1. This is useful when you want to very quickly find the information that you're looking for in a table. Maybe I'm not necessarily looking to read every single item here, and I'm just looking for how to do one specific command. So I would jump to this category row and hold Control plus Alt plus down arrow to just move between the rows.
Alt plus Control plus down arrow. Row 3 links. Alt plus Control plus down arrow. Row 4 form fields. Alt plus Control plus down arrow. Edge of table. Form fields.
And it just told me that I reached the edge of the table, meaning there are no more rows. So maybe I'm looking for just the key for form fields, and then I can use Control plus Alt plus right.
Alt plus Control plus right arrow. Primary key column 2F.
And learn that F is the key that I want if I want to jump between form fields.
Down arrow. Example use column 3 complete assign dash up form.
And now the example here is that I can use it to complete a sign up form.
Down arrow. Out of table out of region separator space.
Now it said out of table because when I was at the bottom right corner of that table and pressed the down arrow, it automatically exited that table. And separator just meant that I reached probably a horizontal rule or some visual indicator that we're going into a new section.
I'm curious to hear questions around tables. Because even as you're doing the demo, I'm wondering, what does a bad table sound like? Or what are you looking for? Like you said, you can navigate it this way and that way. And what are some tips? Is it helpful to know beforehand in the caption? What are some tips that you could recommend?
Yeah. So the biggest one, like I'd mentioned earlier, is to make sure that um, my table has headings, checkboxes checked if you have that option. And I'll go back into this table real quick and show why.
Up arrow. Region table with 4 rows and 3 columns. Row 4 example use column 3 no indent complete assign dash up form.
So in this case, it told me that the heading title again was the example use. That's the column that I'm in. If that wasn't labeled properly, I would only read this text,
Control plus shift plus right.
What's it
Shift
say?
plus end. Assign dash up form selected.
Something about the sign up form. It would only read the contents of the cell without reminding me the context of what that column is. So
up arrow. Primary key column 2F. Complete assign dash up form unselected.
Where it says primary key F, if my uh, if my table did not have headers, all it would read is F. So it's up to me to remember that this column is the primary key column. It's really hard to keep all of these different columns in your head if it doesn't reiterate that every time you go through it. So that's one tip on how to make a very accessible table. When you merge two cells together, which is common for visibility, we will often do that to make things look a certain way, but that makes the screen reader have a hard time knowing which heading, which column that's associated with. Usually it's the first cell at the top left corner of whatever cells are merged. But it can get very quickly confusing to know where you're at within the table structure, which is another good example of why you don't want to use tables for layout. And I've seen this before, even in e-learning courses where somebody will do like a matching game and put all of their things to match in one column and all of the different categories that you want to drop them into a separate column. But then they might merge some of those cells to give themselves more space to write like a longer paragraph of text. And it really makes it difficult then for keyboards to know where they're at and how to move around. We wouldn't want to use a table in that case because we're not actually tabularizing data. Think of it as if it's a chart that you would have in Microsoft Excel, then it might be a chart that you want to put into your course as an actual table. Otherwise, find a different way to represent that visually.
Teresa Line Vander Post raised hand alert. Teresa Line Van.
Did you mention at the beginning, going from the paragraph to a table, does that mean you have to be in browser mode, or can you be in focus mode and go to a table? Does it matter for tables?
You'll want to be in browse mode to enter
Teresa
a
Line
table in
Vander
this way. Because in focus mode, your arrow keys just simply will not work in the traditional way that they would in browse mode, where they actually move through the table.
Sorry, can I add to that question then? So
Yeah.
as somebody who uses a screen reader, you don't know what my e-learning, how my layout is. So
Correct.
how do you know you've missed something? You wouldn't, right? Like how,
I
so
wouldn't. Yeah. That's another really helpful reason why not to use tables for layout, because
yeah.
when people use different different tables and they merge cells to make things kind of fit in a certain place, it's really hard for me to go through that whole table and make sure that I've found everything, because things will navigate in weird ways. I was using a Google Sheet once for work where different uh, the different rows were merged in a column, and then it was hard for me to move down a row and then hit that column of merged cells, and it resets my focus to the wrong spot, and you miss things. It's very easy to miss things when it's not just one cell for one type of content.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other table questions before we move on? Okay, so I'm going to press my H key to just jump to the next heading so I don't have to move through this whole table again.
Interactive form controls region. Interactive form controls heading level 2.
And our next section is interactive form controls.
Control plus down arrow. Forms are a critical part of the web. Use the F key to cycle through all form elements. Each form control has a quote label quote associated with it, which is crucial for accessibility. Control plus down arrow. Fields marked with an asterisk left paren, right paren, are required.
Now, this note here that fields marked with an asterisk are required, this is actually really important. We don't want to only use color to note when something is required. So you don't just want to make something red, because as you can hear, it's not reading different colors to me. So there are different ways to make sure that you denote something as a required field. The asterisk is one way to do that.
Control plus down arrow. Grouping personal information. Control plus down arrow. Name left paren, edit field right paren, edit required ash.
And you'll notice how it said that this field was required. Now, I'm in browse mode right now. So if I were to just press the down arrow key, I'm going to actually skip beyond this edit box.
Control plus down arrow. Use the E key to jump to edit fields like this one. Your screen reader will announce that this field is quote required quote.
So to interact with it, I have to switch to focus mode.
Control plus up arrow. Name left paren, edit field right paren, edit required ash.
And I can do that in a couple of ways. I can press caps lock plus spacebar to switch to focus mode. Or for an edit box, I can press the enter key.
Enter. Left arrow, out of left arrow, oh. Right arrow,
That
N.
actually did not work for me. Of course you can, until you can't.
Up arrow, personal info, main landmark, interactive form
it's the spacebar, not the enter key. So when I pressed the spacebar, you heard that little clicking sound, and that was the screen reader entering focus mode. Now that I'm in focus mode, I can actually interact with the controls.
Left arrow, H. Left arrow, S. Left arrow, A.
And I can move back and forth and type different things in here. When I want to exit the box, again, I need to switch out of focus mode back to browse mode. So that was caps lock plus spacebar.
NVDA plus space.
And then I can move on by holding control and down arrow.
Control plus down arrow. Use the E key to jump to edit fields like this one. Your screen reader will announce that this field is quote required quote.
Can I pause for a second? Because this is exact. So when we were in our breakout room, Emily, I don't know, and Teresa, when we were moving around, when you switched, you pressed your caps lock and your space bar to change, but then you did control down arrow, and that's what we missed. After the NVDA key and your space bar, we were supposed to do control down arrow to continue on, and we did not do that. So
okay.
I want to make sure that we voice that as a learning opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah. Or even just the down arrow would also work. It just happens that I'm reading by paragraph instead of by line. But yeah, you'll need to press something else to get it to move on to the next section.
Control plus down arrow. Favorite course left paren, combo box right paren, combo box collapsed instructional design 101.
So here we have a combo box that asks us to select our favorite course. Now again, because I'm in browse mode, if I press my arrow key, it's just going to move me to the next paragraph. So I need to be in focus mode to interact with this, and I can do that by pressing caps lock spacebar.
NVDA plus space.
And then I can press the spacebar to activate this control.
Space. Down arrow, space ash. Down arrow, ash.
Oh, somehow it did not follow me. I think that's because of the way that I set my thing earlier. So it put me back into the last edit control that I was in. I'm not entirely sure why that is.
Hope this makes everybody feel a little bit better about their own practice. I also, go ahead. Sorry.
I think it's because I turned off that one checkbox that said follow the system focus. So what's happening now that I turned that off, it's kind of leaving my focus back at the last element that I was on. But that's okay because I can press the tab key to move to the next focusable item.
Tab. Favorite course left paren, combo box right paren, combo box instructional design 101 collapsed.
And because this is all one big form, it just put me into the combo box. And then
So
what were
would
you
you
going to say?
recommend putting that back on?
Yeah, if we're not doing a demo where we're trying to follow what I'm doing, like with one specific focus box, I would probably recommend having that on so that your system and your NVDA are both following each other.
LKB raised hand alert. LKB
Yes.
raised hand alert.
So my question is,
Has lowered
the
hand.
way the form is labeled here, where it's name, edit field, favorite course,
Mhm.
combo box. Should we be labeling our forms with that in the title, or is it, will the form tell, because that's the way to tell the screen reader what kind of box this is. We should be labeling that out front, or is this hidden code in the HTML that the screen reader has access to?
That's a really great question. So when you're using what's called semantic HTML, that's just like you use the field tag or the form tag or the combo box tags. Um, NVDA and other screen readers will automatically interpret that to know what it is. So if you're just using like the default like insertion blocks in Rise or Storyline or something, then you don't need to do anything special to say that it's an edit box or a combo box. The screen reader will already know that. If you're building a custom widget and you're not using semantic HTML, so instead of actually using the form controls, you're using other code to write a similar function, there is a way to tell the screen reader what that is and what its intention is, but that goes kind of beyond the scope of what we're doing here. Just know that if you're using the kind of default blocks, you shouldn't have to do anything to label it as an edit box or as a combo box. You do still want to give it an accessible name. So where it says this is the name box.
Shift plus tab. Name left paren, edit field right paren, edit require.
So you heard how it said name there. That's because somebody has gone in and labeled that as the name box. If it's an email, you would want to give it the name of email. That way that information is conveyed to the screen reader. Once you start to play around with the inaccessible version of this page and you go through these form fields, you'll note that they don't have those labels and they just say edit box. They don't tell you that it's the name edit box, for example.
Allison Nowak left paren, she/her right paren, raised hand alert.
Yeah, Allison?
Allison Nowak
Yeah.
left paren.
Back to the keyboard shortcuts not always giving you the result that you intended. How, as beginners, like how can we know if, like if we're doing it right or wrong? Yeah, I don't know if you can talk on that.
Yeah, so sometimes it's just a matter of I think it's supposed to do something one way and then I'm wrong. So when I pressed the enter key and I expected it to switch to focus mode, that was my bad. That wasn't NVDA's bad. It should have been the spacebar all along. So if you're following like the DQ keyboard shortcut guide, it should do exactly what you're expecting it to, unless there's some extenuating circumstance, like the form isn't properly labeled. But I guess the short answer is you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. And you're just seeing me in real time make mistakes that I'm happy to demonstrate for you.
Okay, thanks.
So looking at our time, we wanted to give a
Yeah.
little bit more practice, but also on our demo page, there were accordions and tabs and video players. So if we touch upon those,
Yeah.
then we wanted to have you do breakouts where you start from the top of the page and just work your way through the page from, however you want to explore it.
Yeah. So I will switch back into browse mode,
NVDA plus
and I'm going to skip past these form controls. All of these do have little descriptions about how to interact with them.
Dynamic and Advanced Widgets region. Dynamic and Advanced Widgets heading level 2.
So what I did is I pressed my 2 key to jump to the next heading level 2. And I'm just going to read through a couple of these real quick.
Control plus down arrow. Heading level 3 accordion. Control plus down arrow. An accordion allows content to be expanded and collapsed. This version uses ARIA roles to create a more robust experience than the native less details greater element, preventing repetitive announcements from screen readers.
So that was a fancy way of saying this accordion menu is set up in such a way as to not be redundant when I use it. Typically, when you're using an accordion in like Rise or Storyline, it's going to be built in a way that you don't have a lot of extra control over, so you wouldn't necessarily need to worry about things like ARIA roles. If that means nothing to you, that's totally okay too.
Control plus down arrow. Heading level 4 button collapsed section 1 : what is WCAG?
So what you heard here is that it said it was a heading, it was a collapsed button, and then it gave you the what is WCAG.
Control plus down arrow. Heading level 4 button collapsed section 2 : the 4 principles.
And now you heard the 4 principles, but you didn't hear the explanation of what is WCAG. That's because the accordion is collapsed, and you activate an accordion just like you would a link or other button by pressing enter.
Enter. Expanded.
Now that expanded the accordion.
Control plus down arrow. Section 2 : the 4 principles region. WCAG is based on 4 principles, known as POUR: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust.
And now the information that goes with that accordion is expanded, and I can read that. So just like if I were to click on one of these with my mouse, pressing enter with the keyboard will expand the accordion menu.
Control plus down arrow. Out of region heading level 3 tab interface.
Now, tabbed interfaces, which we also love, are a little bit different. We can use our arrow keys to move through them, and I'll show you that in a second here.
Control plus down arrow. Tabs are a common way to organize content without cluttering the page. To navigate between the tabs with the left and right arrow keys, you may need to switch your screen reader to focus mode left paren, often done with NVDA plus spacebar right paren. Your screen reader will announce the selected tab. Control plus down arrow. Tab selected syllabus.
So this told me that the tab that is selected is called syllabus. If I press the down arrow, it's going to move me to the next tab.
Down arrow. Tab instructor.
And it's going to read instructor.
Down arrow. Tab reviews.
And reviews. But even though I can't hear it, if you notice below these tabs, the information has not updated as I move through these because the tab that is selected is still that first one, the syllabus tab.
Control plus down arrow. Week 1 : Introduction to Accessibility. Week 2 : Understanding WCAG. Week 3 : Hands-on with screen readers.
So if I want to activate the tab, what I would need to do is go back up here.
Up arrow. Tab review. Up arrow. Tab instructor.
And I'll press the enter key to select the instructor tab.
And instructor tab selected 2 of 3.
And then I can press down arrow again.
Control plus down arrow. Tab reviews. Control plus down arrow. Your instructors are Jacob Wood left paren, visited link growth for all right paren, and Dr. Nicole Letwall left paren, visited link Letwall education right paren. Together, they've been called the dynamic duo of accessibility education.
And now that information has been updated. Now, there is another way to interact with tabs. If I go back up here.
Control plus up arrow. Tab reviews. Control plus up arrow. Tab selected instructor.
And I switch my keyboard to focus mode. So that's caps lock plus spacebar.
NVDA plus space.
Now I go into focus mode, and I can actually move between these tabs with my arrow keys.
Reviews tab selected 3 of 3. Syllabus tab selected 1 of 3.
And just like with the radio buttons that we talked about earlier, it will cycle through these instead of getting stuck at the edge.
Instructor tab selected 2 of 3. Reviews tab selected 3 of 3.
But if you're ever in this situation and now you're stuck, you need to go back to browse mode.
NVDA plus space.
That will get you back to where you can start using your arrow keys again.
Control plus down arrow. Quote, this course completely changed how I approach course design. A must dash take for any instructional designer. Quote dash Alex Chen.
And then that lets you read again. So that's how you interact with the tabbed interface with the keyboard. I think we were going to skip the live regions for now and go to the video player. Was that right, Nicole?
It was. Yeah. And
Okay.
one thing about accordions,
Yeah.
or not accordions, sorry, tabs. When you're
Tabs.
testing
Mhm.
tabs, a lot of folks fall into the trap of using the tab key, thinking that it's supposed to tab, and it's the arrow key once you're inside
That's right.
there. And that is correct. So just wanted to make sure that that was reinforced. But yes, we're going to do the video. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Live region heading level 3. Embedded video : installing NVDA with narrator heading level 3.
So now we have a video. And let's say that I am reading through this and I decide that I want to watch the video.
Control plus down arrow. This video, featuring myself and Dr. Nicole Letwal of Letwal Education, walks through the process of using Windows Narrator to install the NVDA screen reader. It's an excellent example of how video content can provide valuable instruction, and it also demonstrates a critical accessibility practice related to video players. Control plus down arrow. YouTube video player : installing NVDA with Windows Narrator frame clickable link photo image of Nicole Letwal. Control plus down arrow. Link install NVDA. Control plus down arrow. Button watch later as Jacob Wood. Control plus down arrow. Button play.
Okay, so I found the play button. I'm just going to very quickly hit this and then pause
Enter.
it.
Play. Pause keyboard shortcut enter. Play keyboard shortcut K.
And the reason I did that is because I needed to focus on the video player to be able to bring up the rest of the controls for the video player here.
Control plus down arrow. Button M mute left paren, M right paren. Control plus down arrow. 0:01/18:54. Control plus down arrow. Toggle button not pressed. See subtitles / closed captions unavailable. Menu button collapsed. Sub menu settings link watch on YouTube button F full screen left paren, F right paren.
So you heard it just kind of going on and on there about all of these different buttons that I can tab and navigate through.
Control plus down arrow. Out of frame heading level 4 continuing from the video : why headings matter.
So then we have this next section that talks about why it's important to put a heading or something after an embedded video. As you noticed, when we were going through that video, there were a lot of controls and a lot of information, and I don't necessarily need to go through all of that every single time I hit this video player or watch a video. Maybe I just want to hit the play button, listen to it, and carry on with my life. The more I have to interact with all of these other controls, the longer it takes me to move on with the rest of the course. So if you consistently place a heading or a link or something that we can jump to just past that player, then as I'm learning how your course is laid out and kind of getting the hang of moving through it, instead of hitting all of these buttons,
Control plus up arrow. YouTube video. Control plus up arrow. 0:01. Control plus up arrow. Button M mute left. Control plus up arrow. Button K play keyboard short.
that's like 4 or 5 different buttons. Sometimes there are even more. If I am done with the video, I can just press my H key
Continuing from the video : why headings matter heading level 4.
and get out of that player and on with the rest of the course. That's instead of having to press the down arrow or the tab key like 5 more times to get through the player. So anything you can do, and this same principle can be applied to any sort of interactive widget with a lot of buttons. Anything you can do consistently to place a heading or some other navigational anchor beyond those widgets is a great just quality of life improvement that you can make for screen reader users to be able to quickly move through your course instead of having to navigate through absolutely everything.
Teresa Line Vander Post raised hand.
Yes,
Teresa Line
Teresa?
Vander Post raised.
Sorry.
Teresa Line
So would that work then if I didn't, this is really good to know that, but for the heading, if in Rise, for example, we use a lot of embedded videos and I just had the continue button after, would that suffice as well? So you'd watch your video finish and then what would you hit if you wanted to bypass it, and then it would take you straight to the continue button?
Yeah, so the one reason like the continue button doesn't work is because it is a button like all of the other player buttons. And so if I press the B key, it's still going to go mute, um,
It's going to go through all of
closed
those.
captions, right? It does need to be a unique element, such as a link or a piece of text, a heading. That's why I like headings, because they're pretty unique, and most screen reader users will know how to jump to a heading, a heading rather, um, instead of a paragraph or some other kind of control.
Consider the heading, you mentioned, we talked about this, like if you do your transcript regularly under your video, that's
Oh, yes, I
something,
do. Yeah. Like
or
if
an
I, so
accordion.
I
Yeah.
do a PDF file attachment block,
Yeah.
that work then that you would jump to that as like a,
Yeah, so if you have consistently set up that there's a transcript link below
yeah,
that video,
yeah.
then once I start to get the flow of your course, I'll know
Mhm.
that I can jump past all of those buttons if I just press the K key to jump to that link. So anything that helps just exit the controls and get on with your life, is just a quality of life improvement.
Yeah. I have a lot of Rise files to fix. Because I think I have a continue button after a lot. I do have the transcripts though, so I think that does help, but
That
this
is
is
helpful.
great to be able to go back now and test and see, can you actually, will it jump and will it work? So this is great, thanks.
Great.
Sorry, it's Sheila. Is it useful to have like a written signpost in the text before you go into a video that might say something like following the video as a link to the transcript?
It certainly couldn't hurt. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's mandatory. If you have like a lot of courses have like a navigation overview where that kind of introduce you to the way the course is laid out. You might put it in there if you do something similar. But just being consistent is really key. I have to go through 5 buttons and then get to your link the first time, that's not like, it's not a problem to do that. Um, but being consistent so that I know every time I hit your video, I can hit K to go to the link. It's just one of those small improvements that helps navigation.
Other questions before we send you for some more practice time? I have a question.
Mhm.
When you create videos in Storyline, there's, because of 1.4.2, which is a WCAG Web Content Accessibility Standard, you have to give audio control. You have to give the user the ability to pause it,
Yeah.
and have control of that. Now, I see a lot of times, this has been debatable, that I should also include a play button on the slide in the middle of the page of my storyline. So now I've got a double, like a play in the middle button and a play, and I have my audio controls, where you're going to have to go to those audio controls at some point, maybe. Like, as a screen reader user, what do you prefer? Would you rather just know that the audio controls consistently are there, which you have to have, or would you rather have the play button, or both, or don't care?
Hmm. Feel like I'm inclined to say the audio controls are probably enough, but I might want to test a page and see like how it really feels when you interact with it.
By the way, like, you just made me feel so good because I told someone that, and that just made me feel better. But thank you for validating that. No,
Sure.
yeah, that was my instinct, but hearing you say that. But why did you consider that you have to test it? What was your further thinking on that? I'm curious.
Um, because I want to feel what it really is like to use it. Sometimes it might not be an issue. Sometimes it's not in the way at all. Sometimes it's just redundant, which there's a case to be made for redundant features and functionality. And sometimes being redundant just gets in the way. And I really think the context of the situation makes a really big difference.
Appreciate that response. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? All right, let's do some more practice. So we want to have the accessible demo page on our screen. So I will put the practice with these commands on the demo site, which is the document, and then the document has the link to the accessible demo page. So I will put that back in the chat. We'll have time for another 20 minutes, so both everyone has an opportunity. We'll have open questions at the end, a reflection, and then we have homework for you. Aren't we excited?
Yeah, and I know we had at least one other question that we wanted to make sure we had time for at the end. So
Yes, Julia wanted to ask some general questions. Cool. All right. See you back here soon. Bye. All righty. Just thinking about wrapping up here at the end, give maybe a few minutes for those folks who want to ask questions, and then anyone else that feels pretty much done, fried capacity, that we could stop here. But we hope that this was an enjoyable first day for you. And we'd like you to think about for your next steps, I'll put it in the chat here, to identify and bring your e-learning online course, whatever it is that you want to practice and test on day 2. So we'll move from the demo site to your own work. And maybe before you come, load up your screen reader, practice it a little bit so you have specific questions. So the more you work through, or you can, hear something, or maybe your speech viewer points something out, write it down and bring that question. Jeffrey has given us his demo, his storyline. Thank you, Jeffrey. We asked back a couple of weeks ago, and we'll use that and send that out to you tomorrow afternoon, just so that everyone has access to it before we get together. Yeah, so that's it. Any final thoughts or questions? And I want to turn it over to Jacob to wrap it up and take it home.
Teresa, can I ask one question on the tabs thing we were testing?
Sure.
Before, I know everybody's brains are done. When arrowing through works fine, going syllabus instructor review,
Mhm.
but I can't seem to get, I'm in focus mode and I can't get into the tab itself to read that text. I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong.
So if you arrow onto the tab and then enter focus mode, it should allow you to use your left and right arrow keys to move through them.
So I should be in browser mode first?
Yep, you should be in browse mode to get to the tabs, and then switch to focus mode to control the tabs.
Okay. Okay, I'll test that with myself. I won't keep everybody, but all right.
Sure. And
This
I don't
is
know whose hand went up
oh,
second.
this is
Go ahead.
Elkie.
Mhm.
I have a question. It might be just unique to me. In your experience, every time I load NVDA, there's an update. On my work laptop, I have to schedule a
Oh,
remote
yeah.
session for someone to install that update. How frequently should I, it's like once a month, once every like what's a significant update time, do you think? Because I can schedule an update every week. Because sometimes that's how often, but like what would you be say is a good in your experience?
Yeah, I think they've moved to a cadence where they're updating like once a quarter. And I don't know if you have the permissions on your work laptop to do this or not, but if you install NVDA as oh, it was in the video that I gave. What do they call it?
Was that the
A
portable install you walked us
Yes,
through?
thank you. Yes, the portable installation. In theory, that should skirt the need to have your IT department update everything for you. Because I worked at a place where that same issue happened to me, and I couldn't update my own instance of NVDA, and I used it every day. But a portable copy doesn't install deep into your system and doesn't require admin approval to update. So that might get around that for you.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Julia had a question.
Hi,
Okay.
yes, and so I have this general question,
Yeah.
and I hope I will make myself clear. So, one of the burden, at least here in Southern Europe, to overcome when you do accessibility is that you can't even say, oh, it's gonna cost more, it's gonna be more. No, 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 no. Otherwise, people will, raise walls and say,
Hmm.
oh, then. And we have the European Accessibility Act in place
Right.
now, which is like Proposition 508, like something like that.
Hmm.
But the e-learning is in a great area, is not all clear. So the point is you can't say complexity or cost but we are seeing that this is not easy peasy, right? This is something that is so, given the fact that I want to make it accessible. I have a hidden disability, so I'm the first one who's advocating for myself.
Hmm.
And but come on, you need professionals to do that. So I wanted to ask you guys if you have any way to, first express the value of doing this, other than we have to do it. We know, I agree, but
Hmm.
still you have to. And then how can you reduce the complexity in using NVA? Maybe, there is a way, there is a tool that require less, that is easier. Maybe if the more video you use, the less it's gonna be
Hmm.
complex or something like that. Because I'm trying, I'm trying to working it out. I know that it's not easy, but maybe
Hmm.
there are some tricks that I can push forward when I see resistance from, the people. I
Yeah.
hope everything was clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the EAA, and like you said, it's kind of a gray area for e-learning. What I would say is that it's always it always costs less to make something accessible from the start than it is to go back and fix it later. And gray area or no gray area, you don't want to risk somebody coming and suing you, especially in the European Union right now, over having e-learning that's not accessible. So would you rather invest upfront and pay less money, or have to get sued and pay fines and then still go back and fix it, which is going to cost even more money on the back end? They're basically, if somebody says it's not important up front, it's because they're saying that we would rather wait till somebody sues us and just hope we don't get caught. And
Mhm.
that's no way to run a business.
To follow up with the screen reader question, are you saying is there an
Mm.
easier way or is there a quick in the work that I do, I know I can run my screen reader. I'm confident enough to do an overall check, but I'm always going to work with Jacob and others who
Yeah.
are using their screen reader to do the full testing. Um, and so to Jacob's first point about it's cheaper to do it right from the beginning is hire people to do the testing from the start as it's
Mhm.
being built, and you've got yourself the right model. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
And shout out to Michelle, when she brought me on to TLG, the Telic Learning Group, we've kind of put her money where her mouth is, and said we want to make accessibility something that we do from the start because we know that it's going to cost a lot more in the long run if we don't.
Good question.
Hmm. I was answering a question for Sheila shortly before the breakout rooms switched. And Sheila, I'm not sure if you heard the totality of my answer or not. Do I need to go over that one more time? Because I'm happy to.
Um, I think where it ended was you just saying that if we could do it, we should. So
Okay.
I don't know if you had more after that.
Yeah, so just for the rest of the room, the question was if we are building a table and we have multiple rows of information that are split across, how would you describe it, Sheila? I know what the question was, but I think you asked it better than I'm articulating.
If you had like in your first column, if you had a data title for that column, but then the subsequent columns that followed it each had a row of different data. So sometimes you would merge that first column to share a title. Whether it was best to do the merge in that one single column and have the different data in the other rows, or to have that same column name repeat over and over.
Yeah, and so what I was saying is, I think it's ideally, like if you can't avoid merging, it would be better to repeat the title than to merge the cells, particularly because you're less likely to get in deep into the code and like use a couple of the tricks that there are to hide certain labels. Like there are ways around it, but you need to really dig deep, and that's less likely that you're going to do something like that. So just repeating the content, I don't know, it's a trade-off, right? Between what's visually appealing and what functions for a screen reader. I know WCAG says best practice is to not merge cells. So anything you can do to avoid that would make navigation a lot easier for a screen reader.
Yeah, there's this, if it's like picking your, you're going to, with drag and drop or something like that. Like, is that the hill you're going to die on? Like, you can't just let something go to make something simple so that everyone can access your content, right? So
Yeah.
just thinking about, with that, who do you exclude when you build it? And if you can ask yourself those questions, who are we okay not including, and have that's just one of those eye-opening discussions, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This has been an excellent, it's 4 o'clock on the dot. We are ready to wrap. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Jacob, that was a fantastic demonstration. You did a really fantastic job weaving in and out of some of those challenges. So thank you so much. And thank you all for your hard work and for showing up and for being accessibility champions. So thank you.
Sometimes showing up is just the hardest part. And I appreciate that all of you are here, because that says a lot about the dedication that you have to keep making things more accessible. And certainly feel free to reach out to me by email or on Slack or on LinkedIn or wherever you can find me. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to help.
Look for an email around 4 o'clock. We have a quick check-in around 3 p.m. tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So, Julia, a little late for you, but we'll get it to you. And that'll be all the information you need for Wednesday. So,
Ciao. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
so
Thank
much.
you.
So much,
Bye.
everyone.
Ciao.
Great.
Thank you. Bye.
Right.